Just do the intro.
What are you, my fucking dad? Fine. Ladies and gentlemen, Andy here, author of the best Tinder guide on the internet. I am joined by a bunch of weirdos. The intro was supposed to go better than that in my mind, but this is the Kill You and a Loser show. Let's fucking go. Got you four lovely gentlemen here. All four of you joined my coaching program at around about the same time. I've told some of your stories individually in podcasts, and I'm going to tell a couple of your other ones in the coming weeks. You guys did some crazy good shit. I would like all the credit for that, and I think maybe I can give myself 99.9% of the credit for that because I'm such a fabulous fucking human being. But being serious, I think a big part of the reason that you four crushed it was because you all started the coaching at around about the same time. You all started within like a week or two of each other, and you guys built this little mini tribe within the group. You were still obviously interacting with all the other guys in the group, but you guys really built your own mini tribe. You pushed each other like crazy. You were each other's accountability partners. And I think you kind of like jumped off or piggybacked on the top of each other. That sounds kinkier than I meant it to be. But I think you guys kind of like, one of you would crush something. The other one would come in and go, well, shit, I got to like up my game and compete with this guy. And so we're going to talk here about some of the benefits of a tribe, accountability partners, and give the audience, if we can, a little bit of advice on how they can build their own band of brothers. So how much did having a tribe help you guys?
I'm gonna preface that question for a second because I was thinking about this when you put us all together and you were like, oh, the four of you really, helped each other out. And I was like, did we? And I was like, oh yeah, like totally. And I think the reason I had to like intellectualize it. I was like, who is Renee? And I was like, oh, that guy, the threesome dude. And I was thinking about this. I think it's not just that we start at the same time. And I think the four of us have a lot of things in common. And maybe this is common in your program, Andy. I mean, we've all only had 12 weeks and you've had years, and you've seen everyone. But like the four of us, I felt like, we're all decently good just with people skills. We're all extroverted. We're all fairly good looking. We're all doing sort of like entrepreneurial or like businessy things. So like the four of us, I felt like we're all on top of things, had the pieces in place. We just needed Andy to glue us together. And I think that's really where the magic happened was like, oh, like Renee's having a threesome in his second week. Like Renee's really attractive, but like, so are we, like, so am I. And so, okay, great. Or like Pao is killing it with his money game. Pao's really great with money, but like, so am I. And so, you know what I mean? It's just kind of like the similarities, I think, help to reinforce what is possible for each of us.
Yeah, I mean, this happens in any tribe, right? Any community that you build, the members that really, really, really click with each other will go and form their own like mini tribe. And that doesn't mean you exclude the rest of the tribe, but this happens in a friendship group, the people you click with the most. And yeah, you'll find, so you guys don't know right now, maybe a couple of you who've just left will know. But in the coaching program right now, I have three guys who are like ex-virgins. Two of them, or all three of them were virgins when they first signed up. They've all formed like their own little like mini competitive, and they've all lost their virginity because it's like you just click with the people that are on the same, like in the same rough position as you. Pao, did you want to jump in? Remember when I used to call you Paw when you first joined because I didn't know how to pronounce your name?
Yeah, good times. Very unique mistake. So yeah, your question was like, how much did it mean to have the tribe, right?
Yeah.
I think honestly, it's the biggest thing about the whole coaching. Like, it's great to have you there and like give feedback and all these things. But what really is great about it is the whole community, that you have like-minded people on the journey, basically.
Basically, the best part of my coaching is not me. I get it. Yeah, fine. I get it.
Yeah, but also just afterwards now, like now, I continue to be accountability partners with Amir. We have like a little group with some of the guys in Europe, and we continue to have calls every week. And we basically do what we did on the weekly coaching calls, but we just continue to do that, and we're going to do that for years to come. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the most valuable thing. And then just feeling that, okay, these guys actually have my back and I have their backs. That's probably the biggest thing, just feeling supported and being able to support back.
Yeah, feeling like the other people give a fuck about you and that you give a fuck about them. Like, one of the biggest reasons why I've succeeded with all of my goals, or all the goals I've had so far, is because I have friends that really, really, really give a shit about me. And we've built our own like little mini tribes on Telegram and in person and stuff like that. And it was probably like 2 years ago. I thought, how can I was trying to distill down why I've been able to achieve my goals and some of the philosophies and the things that have helped me. And the thing that kept jumping out at me was I have friends that give a shit. I have friends that have helped me. And I had to sort of humble myself and say, as much as I've put in work and as much as I'd love to take all the credit, I wouldn't have done all this if I didn't have friends. And that was when I had to say, okay, I need to stop doing one-on-one coaching. It needs to be in a group. And I still do one-on-one coaching, but it includes the group. Because I was like, I need to teach these guys how to have friends or how to have people who have their back. And even for people who aren't in the coaching program, that's what the forums are for. That's what making these little mini communities is for. Like, we're not supposed to do this shit on our own. Amir, man, you can jump in if you want, but you especially, brother, you are like in this group. You're the one who I would say struggled the most on your own, like before you started having other people, and then saw the most benefits from like, fuck, if I just have people that can keep me accountable, especially, I don't know if you're comfortable getting into this, but some of your vices and stuff like that. It's like when you're by yourself, and I used to be the same, you would just pump weeks or months into like porn, weed, alcohol, like whatever your vice is. When you have other people, it's like you can't do more than a day or two of that vice before they say, hey, buddy, I haven't heard from you. Are you okay? Like, how much did that help you, having other people there?
That definitely helps a ton. It's not just that they have your back when you do trip up and give into your vices. It's that they have also struggled with those same vices. Right. So, I mean, same thing with, Pau, Renee, Zach, but also, Radical helped me a lot. I don't know if I can say his name. Another guy in the group talked about his own. Cam, yeah. Also, George, and yourself, obviously, with your struggles with like alcohol and porn and all that stuff, and just having that thing where, it's like saying we were all in the same position, like we're all entrepreneurial, this and that. It's not just that we're all aiming for the same goals, is that you have the same struggles, and kind of seeing that like I'm not fucked because I'm not the only one who's fucked, I guess what I'm trying to say. That we're all kind of a little bit struggling and we can help each other with that.
Don't you guys think
and like empathize with each other?
Don't you guys think it's fucking crazy how we all sort of, and everyone does this, men, women, everyone does this. We all sit there and think, my problems are unique to me. I must be the biggest, most fucked up loser in the entire world. Like these mental hurdles are unfixable, and I am the only unique person who has these mental hurdles. You talk to someone else, and this really happens. This really comes out when you start talking to women and you start saying, like, especially in bed after sex, and you say, like, what are you insecure about? And they tell you a million different things, and you're like, holy shit, like, women get insecure. And the reverse happens too. I've had so many girls say, like, you don't get nervous about anything, do you? I wish I could be like you. And you're like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, are you fucking mentally ill? Of course I get nervous about things. And they're like, wait, really? Guys get nervous? And you go like, yes. Guys are nervous on dates. Are you kidding me? And you're like, who has to pull the trigger? It's us who has to do everything. Of course we're nervous. We're fucking shit scared. You get to just sit there, and I get that you're nervous as well, but you get to just sit there and let us do all the moves. Don't you think that's terrifying? And their mind just blows. They go like, oh, I guess I never thought about it. But I thought men were just perfectly confident and stoic and amazing and could just make I thought you just made the moves because you were good at it. And it's like, no, it's fucking hard. And so when you sort of bridge that gap with someone else and open up and say, I go through struggles. Do you go through struggles? And they go, fuck yeah, I do. I thought it was just me. Man, I swear to God, that's like, that shit makes you feel so much less alone in the universe. That is so, like, we're touching on the meaning of life kind of stuff. It's like people will go their entire fucking life without ever fully opening up to someone else and saying, hey, I'm scared of shit. Are you scared of shit? Or, hey, I don't know what to do. Do you ever not know what to do? People go their whole life never opening up about that shit. And that must be so goddamn lonely. That was for me. That's why I was depressed. And any of you feel free to jump in if you were ever in that position. But man, we're touching on like meaning of life shit here, like opening up to other human beings.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's kind of this thing where you try to like not really express your struggles or more or less hide them to like save your face until you have this moment where you realize like, holy shit, that's what everyone is doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I think especially for us as men, hey, because there's always that pressure to be. I think we get stoicism fucked up, right? I think we get masculinity all twisted and fucked up. And I see this a lot where people will look at the old Stoics like Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, like all those cunts, and they will go, man, they must have just been sitting there like stoic, perfect, happy all the time. And you're like, bro, have you even read anything they say? Literally everything they're talking about is their struggles and how they work through them and overcome them and face them as a man and all that sort of stuff. I think we just look at them and think they're like action figures, or we look at actual action figures in movies and go, man, if I could just have my shit together all the time and never have any struggles, it's like, what the fuck fun would that be? That would be boring as shit. I feel like that would be lonely as hell. That would be depressing. Because what the hell would you work on? If you had no struggles, what would be the point of being here? You're just perfect? What do you do for the rest of your life? Like, you're going to invent a problem at that point. Because what the fuck else would there to be to do?
Yeah, and also I feel like the higher goal you set for yourself, kind of the further along the self-improvement journey you get, the lonelier it can become, because your struggles,
yeah.
less people can relate to your struggles. And so like just being part of the group coaching was amazing, because first of all, we all knew that they went through your screening. So there's a trust there. And obviously everyone had to pay out their ass to be in the group too, which is another screening thing, which there's like commitment there and trust there. And also like meeting just regular people where most people are living, or just people around them, you're not going to find people who are going through the same sort of high-end struggles, pushing through. Like someone comes home bitching about work, like that's something everyone can understand. But someone comes home bitching about like, oh, I approached like 20 girls today and I only got one number. That's a whole different like ball game.
Yeah. It's almost like you can't talk to. I mean, you can, but it's almost like you can't talk to normal people and expect any sort of empathy when you're talking about higher level problems. I understand what you mean. I follow a lot of entrepreneurs on YouTube, and they talk about the same thing. They talk about the higher up you get, if you're then saying, man, I'm really struggling to take my business from $1 million to $10 million per month, the average person is like, what the fuck are you even talking about? I can barely even pay my bills. Like it's harder for them to empathize. Or if I say, we were talking about this before we went live with this call. If I say, man, the other day I felt really angry about something and it took me a good 2 minutes to meditate and calm down. And I was angry for 2 minutes. If I talk to, and I say, and I would like to get that down to 1 minute, it only takes me 1 minute to calm down. If I say that to the average person, they're like, what are you talking about? Like, your life sounds like bliss. And so it is kind of really useful to have these sort of circles. Now, you can find those people, like higher up level people, but you almost have to at some point just start finding them through self-improvement or through money or through like entrepreneurial groups. You have to actually go to the source, the group, and then network there. You can still find them through normies on the street, but you have to screen really fucking hard. Like, you almost have to start. One thing I've started doing, for the longest time, I would tell normies that I was a life coach. And recently, probably like 6 months ago, I was like, why the fuck am I doing that? That's some pussy shit. Okay, I'm a sex coach. And just doing that, yeah, people start, or I say I'm a getting laid coach. I help guys get laid. And when I do that, yeah, like you instantly start screening people. A lot of people have a bad reaction to that. They won't openly say like, oh, that's bad, but they'll just be like, oh, and then they sort of quieten up. That kind of shit. Or if you screen, if it's money, you say, I'm an entrepreneur, at this point, I'm making 15 grand a month. I want to get that up to like 50 grand a month. My mission is to get to 50 grand a month. You quickly screen out the people who are not okay with money, like immediately. Do we want to talk a little bit? Yeah, if you got more to say, jump in.
Yeah, it was basically just adding on top of that. It's just overall, it just saves so much time. It's almost like, okay, you invest a decent amount of money, but how long were you going to spend finding those people otherwise? And it's exactly like you say, most people that you just meet, they're not going to relate, basically. I don't think I need to add more. It'll just be going in circles.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to, let's take a completely different tact. Let's talk about meeting random people, friends, girls, whatever it is, out on the street or in bars, because all four of you kind of did that. All four of you were pretty You had the potential to be social people. If you weren't already, you're all reasonably comfortable talking to random people. And I think for a couple of you, probably Zach, you the most, but I said this to the rest of you as well. Some of you were already talking to a lot of people and already social. And I was like, just do that, but with women. How much of a mindset shift needed to happen there? Or was that like a very easy, quick mindset shift? I guess we can go through all four of you. Zach, let's start with you. What did you have to do to start meeting people and switch that to like, okay, I'm going to start getting laid? Or even we can just talk about the social stuff as well, man.
Yeah, for me, dude, it's funny looking at that in hindsight, where it's like, I think someone who maybe is not as social or not as extroverted or not as used to being around people as I am is like, would look at that and be like, dude, you have everything you need for success. So for me, it wasn't like, I mean, I'm hesitant to say this, but it wasn't so much a mindset shift for me as it was just like permission. And I remember literally, this is like a quick win I got in the group, and quick wins are very important. It was the second girl that I had approached. You know, I just met her through a mutual friend. We were out at a restaurant, then a bar. At the end of the night, I was just like, oh, hey, like, you're cute. Like, are you single? And she's like, oh, yeah. And I was like, well, like, you want to go out later this week? And she's like, yeah. And then like, we vibed. And she's crazy, but it was great, you know? And I was like, oh, man, like, that was insane how easy that was, just to do everything that I already do. Just at the end, say like, yeah, like, by the way, do you want to go out? You know, this has happened to me a million times since I joined the group. This happened to me, you know, literally last night. Unexpectedly got pulled away from my office into this group of people. This one girl was cute. I was like, yo, you're really cute. Are you single? And she's like, yeah. I was like, you want to go out? She's like, yeah. Like, whoa, mind blown, you know? So for me, it wasn't so much like anything monumental that was shifting. It was just like, I got to give myself permission just to like put it out there, you know?
Yeah, if we can give, there will be a lot of people listening to this who are like reasonably social. And we're not talking like you're a social butterfly, you're a god or anything like that. Just like you talk to random people, you talk to someone in the elevator, you stop and pat a dog and have a talk to the owner. If you're at that stage, give yourself permission to just chat to some chicks. It doesn't have to be these amazing pickup lines, or you literally aren't doing anything different than you already do when you talk to normal people. You're just adding on to the end. You seem cool, or you're really cute. We should grab a drink, or we should grab a coffee. What's your number? That's it. You're just like adding one extra sentence to the end. There are so many people listening to this that just need that fucking permission. I think we categorize hitting on girls as different to talking to people. And at some point, and I'm sure all four of you would agree with this, at some point you realize when you hit on enough girls, you're like, oh, I'm just talking to people. I'm just talking to girls. I'm not hitting on women. I'm just talking to girls and then saying, do you want to go out with me? Like, it's just a conversation to make sure she's not crazy, I'm not crazy, she's available, I'm available, cool, let's go grab a drink. That's all sex is as well. The path, the path from the start, the approach to having sex is just talk to her for a little bit and then fuck her. Like, you're not doing anything amazing.
Yeah, I'll say one more thing and then I'll shut up. Is that like, that exactly that was going through my head, where it's like, I am that guy that like talks to someone in the elevator or pets someone's dog, or like, you know, animals love me. So everyone's animals always come up to me. And it's like, I always had the reason, even if I didn't realize, like, hey, I want to tell you that I love your dog. Like, I want to tell you that I like your shirt. Like, I want to tell you what, and then the thing with women is just like, oh, it's the same thing. The thing I want to tell you is that you're cute.
Yep.
Or like if we're on a date, it's like the thing I want to tell you is just like, the thing we're all thinking anyway, which is like, oh, damn, how do I get this girl back to my place? Like, oh, I want to fuck her or whatever. It's like, hey, the thing I want to tell you is like, I want you to come back to my place and I want to fuck you. So just putting that out there. Are you down? And women are like, actually, yeah, I am. It's like, oh, whoa, cool. That was easy. You know?
That's such a fucking mind blow too. The first time I started like being just completely blunt, honest, like, hey, I'm attracted to you. Would you like to come back to my place? With no games, no like, do you want to come back to my place and watch Netflix? Like, just no games. And some of them say yes. And you're like, wait, why'd you say yes though? And she's like, well, because I want to sleep with you. And your brain is like, but why? Like, why do you want? It's such a fucking mind blow that you can just ask for shit. And then once you've done it like enough times, like especially at the point where I'm at now, it's so mind-blowing that most people still play the games and still think they have to put on this weird facade of like, I'm going to trick her into coming back to my place. And girls do it too. It's just not fucking necessary. And if anything, it's like counterintuitive. It gets in the way. It slows shit down because now you have to play this fucking game trying to trick her into your bed. And it's like, it's literally slower. It is literally more effort. She will resist more. She will go, I know you're trying to trick me. What do we do when we meet some like salesperson that runs like sales games on us? We're like, I can't give too much power because I got to feel comfortable with this decision. And I don't feel comfortable because he's clearly using persuasion techniques on me. I need to go slower because I need a moment to pause and think and make sure I'm doing a decision. All four of you, feel free to comment if you want. When I sit down with you guys to say, do you want to do the coaching? Literally at the start, I'm like, if you want to do coaching, say yes. If you don't want to do coaching, say no. And then we just fucking talk and you're like, yeah, I want to do coaching. Sure, done. Like, that's it. That's my fucking sales technique. Do you want to do coaching? Yes or no? You don't have to resist. All four of you didn't have to put the brakes on and go like, oh, I feel like Andy's doing techniques on me. I got to make sure this is a rational decision. I got to make sure I actually want this. It's just like, Andy doesn't actually seem to give a fuck if I say, obviously I'm passionate about helping people. I want you to sign up so I can help. It's not that I don't give a fuck, but Andy seems like he's not going to fucking have a meltdown if I say no. Cool. I don't actually have to resist. I can just decide if I want to do it. And he seems calm and he's not rushing me and he'll let there be a 30-second awkward silence while I sit there and figure it out. He even, to a couple of you, and I do this all the time, if someone looks like they're hesitant, I just say like, hey, I'm going to go take a piss and grab a drink, have a think about it. I'll be back in 5 minutes. Like, that's all you need. And girls, the same shit. So yeah, I love that you all embraced honesty. You're all pretty honest dudes. Renee. Let's talk about, so same topic, but Renee, I want to talk or get you to talk about you making friends with a few dudes that saw you hitting on chicks. And in our individual interview, which we did, and guys, if you haven't watched that, go and watch that. It was amazing. Renee did a killer job. But let's just touch on that really quickly. So same shit as Zach, you were someone that was reasonably social. And I think you just like almost accidentally made friends with a bunch of people. Just by like letting it happen, you know what I mean? Just going like, oh, this isn't weird. I'm allowed to talk to these people. So do you want to talk about that shit?
Yeah, it was, I moved to a new city. I knew exactly one person there, but this person was like super well connected, had like a big group of friends. And he said like, yeah, we're going to a bar, just come with us. And then I met like, I don't know, 30 new people at one evening, talked to like most of them, made a bunch of new friends. Like it's so easy when you're just
when you let
have permission to talk to people, to get to know people, like be interested in them, try to like learn something new about them and share some of your stuff. And yeah, it's really that's really not difficult. And then when we went out for the second time to a bar, there was like a different group of like friend of friends, all somehow connected. I don't really remember like in what way, but there was a girl. She was super cute. We talked a bit, and then about like, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours later, after we were flirting for a while, I just asked like, hey, let's go to my place. Like, do you want to leave? And she was like, yeah, let's go. And that was the first time I've ever like took home a girl from a bar, and it was like my mind was like completely blown the next morning because I thought like, holy shit, like it's that easy. Like you can just talk to people and then ask, and then some of them are going to say yes. Like what? I could have done this the whole time. Holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, bro, that's all of us, right? Like all of us had that realization. I had it early on as well, where you can just ask for what you want and people will give it to me. For me, I also had it massively with coaching. I remember the first time I asked for what I thought was a big amount of money, $1,000 for one-on-one coaching. And I was like, this is like too much money. And I asked for it and the person was just like, that's insane. Of course I'll say yes. And I was like, whoa, you can just ask for stuff and people will give it to you. You can just ask for money and they'll say yes. And it's like, well, you have to give something in return. I think I'll make that clear. But yeah, it's massively freeing. Realize you could just ask for what you want. You don't have to like trick people into shit. You're just like, hey, would you like to be my friend? And people are like, yes. Hey, would you like to go out to a bar with me? Yes. Would you like to sleep with me? Yes. Would you like to give me money and I can coach you? Yes. Amir, do you want to jump in, bud? Friends,
yes.
people, social.
So tying in with the social thing and as well as the having a tribe kind of thing. So like all of us here are pretty socially able, and Pao had no problems doing day approaches. He was doing tons and tons and tons of day approaches. But he had like reservations about going out and doing approaches at bars and stuff at night. And I had the exact opposite thing going on, where I could go out at bars at night and approach like tons and tons of girls. I had no reservations about it, but doing it during the day, I had issues with. And me and Pao could both see that we were both knew what we were doing. And we could look at each other's situations and say, like, I could look at Pao and say, like, hey man, just do what you're doing at a bar. It'll be perfectly fine. It'll go just as well as it would during the day. And he could look at me and say the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And again, I guess that's just asking permission, but sometimes we get in our own heads just about the environment you're in or the context. You think it matters so much, but it doesn't necessarily matter.
Yeah, we tell ourselves the weirdest stories. Hey, like, I can't hit on a girl on a train. That's weird. Everyone will hear me. I can't do it in a grocery store because that's weird. It's not the right environment. I can't do it in a shopping mall because I'll get banned from the shopping mall. I can't do it on a university campus because they'll yell out, me too, and they'll say I'm a rapist and the feminists will attack me. We come up with these insane stories that we have no fucking evidence for. And all the evidence is actually to the contrary because we have all the other people who've done it and succeeded and said, hey, you can do this too. But I guess that's just like the fear hindbrain part of our brain. And it keeps us safe. If anything, I'm grateful for it because like if we didn't have that, we'd all jump off a cliff just to see what would happen. And so it is a safety sort of thing. But yeah, man, once you start moving past that or treating it like what it is, it's more like a gentle warning. These stories and these like fears are just a gentle warning. Like, hey, just be careful talking to a girl on campus. Hey, just be careful if you're going to go and try and have sex. Like, it's just a gentle warning. When you see it as that, you can go, okay, I appreciate that warning. That's really kind. I'm going to do it anyway, but I'll be reasonably careful. I'm not going to walk up to a girl and rip her panties off and finger her in public. Thank you for the warning. I'll be more gentle. So, yeah, I love that we all figured out these fears and these different, especially fears about different situations where you've already done it in a different place. Like you had already done it in bars. You figure, okay, if I can do it there, I can do it in person. And once you start getting a bit of success or start seeing that girls are really nice, they're nice everywhere.
100%. But also seeing an example is super important. So like you're a huge example, right? But it's different when I see that Pao can go approach women during the day and it's easy for him, but he's afraid of the very thing that I can do. And I'm afraid of the very thing he can do. Just like, it's like, it breaks the matrix or whatever. Like,
yeah. It's like, I mean, we all need those kind of examples, or we all benefit from these examples of people that are further ahead than you, which is why I push coaching so much, why I love coaching. But even just having like people you watch on YouTube or whatever, or podcasts, or anyone who's ahead of you, mentors if you can get them. But what gave me the most courage to push my coaching and to make more money from it and to charge more was the people I watched on YouTube. Dan Henry being the biggest one, but a bunch of other people, Alex Hormozi, people like that, Alex Becker, who all just said like, hey, I charge, Dan Henry charges $100,000 for 3 sessions in person with him. And I was like, what the fuck? How is that even possible? And he's like, yeah, like, of course, like I'm busy. I don't got time. So if someone wants to sit down with me, $100,000. And he's like, I've had like 10 people say yes to that. And we sit down and I'm like, what the fuck? That's even possible. You see that shit and you go, oh, fuck, I could do this. Or you see me do like a podcast with, 3 girls that I sleep with. And we do that foursome podcast and you go, oh, like they're so casual about it. But there's a foursome. How did they have a foursome? It's like, you just had a foursome. You see how casual it is. You see that the other person is saying, this isn't that hard. And then it gives you that permission to go, fuck it. If this retard can do it, I can do it. And Amir and Pao, I know you guys said that, about each other. Look, this fucking retard can do it at night. I'm the fucking retard that can do it during the day. Why the fuck else not? Pao, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, can you repeat the exact question?
Fuck no. What am I, a fucking parrot? No. So the question was essentially, fuck, I forgot the question. I just give you so much shit. I give you so much shit. It's different. It's me. I'm okay. I'm the host. I got a lot on my mind. It's different. When you fuck up, it's because you're a bad person. When I fuck up, it's reasons. So essentially the question was, you're already fairly social, or in your case especially, you were already decent at talking to girls during the daytime. How much did you have to make a big mindset like leap or shift versus how much was it just like, I just need to give myself permission to do this?
It's funny because I kind of feel like some of that was already happening before I joined the coaching. Mm-hmm. Like, so just a long story short, like 4 years ago, I did a bunch of approaches and I had very little success, like hundreds of them. And then I was in a relationship for some years and I just sort of relaxed. Right. And then the big mindset shift was just like relaxing and just like kind of realizing that it's a numbers game and not taking things so personally. So that was a big part of like what I was reading on your blog. I was like, oh yeah, like if you're not looking for the same thing, there's like no game you can do to like convince her or some shit. So that just helped me take things a lot less personally. And then also just the whole thing with honesty. I remember on the first coaching call we had, I was like, oh, I approached this girl. I said this, and I thought this, and then I said this. And they were like two different things. And then you were like, well, why the fuck didn't you just say what you thought?
Yeah.
I was like, I said, yeah, I approached this girl. She was super fucking hot. So I went up to her and said she looked cute. And then you're like, why the fuck did you say that? Like, so that was like, oh yeah, I don't know. And then just that whole honesty thing just makes life a whole lot easier. Yeah. That's like one of the biggest things. And then to touch on what Amir said about like the night game stuff, or just like going out at night or in the evening, and that being difficult. Yeah, there was also like a permission thing. So at some point, I was in a place and I had a bar nearby, and I was just, okay, I'll just try going here. And then I'll just make the goal of, I just have to ask a girl if she wants to come home with me. And I think I asked like 3 girls. All of them said no, but like one of them kind of wanted to, but it was like, yeah, it couldn't happen for just some logistical reason. And then I was like, oh, okay, it was not that bad. I can do that again. And that's basically all. I also had a really interesting situation where I'd been all out, just approaching with a friend for a while, just a random guy I met, and it was quite fun. And then I just approached this girl who was sitting with her whole family.
Yeah,
like,
I remember
literally
that.
like
I remember that.
literally like 5 people. And then I was just like being completely honest. I thought in my mind she looked beautiful. I just went up and said, you look really beautiful. He was like, oh, do you want to dance? And I'm like, well, I suck at dancing, but sure, whatever. And then we ended up like dating and actually like having sex. I was like, okay, what the fuck?
Yeah. I mean, that's, people can tell when
so
you're
just,
honest.
Yeah, and just kind of just doing things and realizing nothing bad will actually happen. Like what's the worst thing that can happen? Not that much. You just weren't looking for the same thing. And generally people are really fucking nice. So
yeah, and when you realize that, so there's several things you've embraced there. It's like the numbers game, realizing that you have unlimited retries. You can just talk to other people. Whether that's with girls, you can just talk to other girls. Whether that's making money, you can just talk to other potential clients. Whether that's friends, you can just go and make other friends. Realizing that, and then also realizing that you can, and fully embracing honesty, what that does, and I think this is something that people don't quite fully realize until they've done it a lot, what those two things get you is, and you're astute enough to have pointed it out already, it gets you to relax. And when you relax, people react better to you. Of course they do. You come across as like confident, even if you're not. You come across as genuine. You come across as not trying to get something. You come across as okay, like you're okay if they say no. You genuinely come across like you don't care if they say no. Obviously, you would like them to say yes. It's what I hinted at before. When I do my coaching calls or the call to see if someone wants to do coaching, I come across as very relaxed. I'm sure I do. And part of that, or the side effect of that, is that people go like, oh, well, he's not trying to get something from me. And when you're talking to a girl, you're just chill. Hey, I thought you were really beautiful. I just wanted to say, hey. And then she goes, oh, wait, he's not trying to get something off me. There's no hidden agenda. That makes them relax. Hey, the whole thing goes fucking better. So embracing that numbers game and that honesty, not only is it mandatory if you want to get laid or you want to make a lot of money or whatever it is, but it fucking makes it all go a lot better as well. I've said this a billion times. I'm going to say it a billion more times until I die. Honesty just works. And it constantly blows my mind how many people fall into the default way of thinking that I have to use persuasion tactics, or I have to convince someone, or I have to use pickup lines, or I have to do this, I have to do... No, you don't. You're actually getting in your own fucking way. I have to lie. I see a lot of people thinking I have to lie. It's like, why? When you lie, you have to remember something. When you tell the truth, there's nothing to remember. It's fucking easier. I say this a lot too. A big part of the reason why I'm honest is not because I'm a wonderful person. It's because I'm lazy. Or I'm efficient if I want to be kind to myself. I can't be bothered lying. I literally cannot fucking be bothered lying. It's too much effort. I hate it. I hate having to remember. I hate the person calling me out on the lie, and then I have to go, fuck, I got to invent a story. Fuck that. At some point, I literally just couldn't be bothered. I just couldn't be bothered. I'm lazy. That's why I'm honest. It's not because I'm virtuous.
Yeah. I also wanted to quickly add that, you can still, it still needs to come from the right place. So, you can still be like a fucking creepy dude, like catcalling a girl in the street. You'd be like, I want to grab your ass. And it's like, that's like, well, you're trying to take something from her in a way. Like, yeah. It's like you need to, or in that situation, maybe you're just being fucking creepy, but you can still go up to a girl and be like, you're really beautiful. Or it's like, you're like some shit. And you're just like, coming from the wrong frame of mind in a way.
Yeah, I see. I think what you're sort of like almost touching on there is the idea of, and some people do this, where they use honesty as a technique. I see this so many times. I've had people email me and say, hey, can you tell me the best way that I can use honesty to get this girl to start sleeping with me? And I'm like, the fact you said to get this girl to start sleeping with me, that I think you've missed the point. And I've had other people say shit like, can you please help me like cheat on my wife, but in a way where I can be honest and make her okay with it? And I'm like, what the fuck? You just honesty. I think 99% of people get this. It's just that maybe some people, something gets lost in translation. And this isn't me having a go at those people. I don't think those people are bad people or any of that shit. It's more that I think something gets lost there. And so when we're talking about honesty, you're basically just putting your cards on the table and then you let them sit there. Don't say the honest thing and then be like an anxious rabbit going like, hey, you're really attractive. Like, are you gonna say, is that a yes? Are you gonna say yes to me? Do you want to fuck me? Like waiting for something to happen. Put it out there. Hey, you're really attractive. And wait to see what happens. Obviously, you'd have to follow up with asking something. Don't just say that. But you get my point. It's like, hey, can I grab your number? You're really attractive. You're really hot. Let's grab a drink. Can I grab your number? And then just say nothing. Let it sit. And if she says yes, great. If she doesn't, she's not looking for what you're looking for. But I do see quite a lot of guys, or enough guys have said it that I feel like it's worth saying. The honesty is not like a technique. I think that's just people who've come from the pickup artist. We all get sort of indoctrinated in the pickup artist. Like, I got to have a line. I got to have a technique. I got to have a way to get her to do what I want. And then they think, oh shit, Andy's just giving me another way to get what I want. It's like, no, that's not what this is. This is about not having a technique. This is about dropping all techniques and just saying, hey, I think you're really hot. Hey, you're sexy. And seeing what happens. I want to fuck you. Do you want to fuck me? And seeing what happens.
Yeah, I think you explained what I meant in a much better way, basically. And
that's why they pay me, buddy.
Yes. And one thing I also wanted to add is like that I still kind of fail at it sometimes. It's like, okay, I think you're hot, but I still say you're cute. Like it, sometimes it still happens. So it's like a learning process. It's not just like, oh, every single time I'm just like 100% completely honest. It's like something you can work towards, but it's not necessarily just going to happen the first time. Just wanted to add that to maybe
make it
a little relatable.
It's like that article I wrote, honesty is an ideal you work towards. we're not even talking about honesty here. We're more talking about courage. That's more courage. You're still being honest. I get the point you're making. If for anyone who didn't quite understand what the distinction was there, you're saying that you want to tell them that they're hot or sexy, but what comes out is you're cute because you're playing it safe. That's not dishonesty. That's more just like you need practice being courageous. And I go through the same shit, by the way. What's a decent example? Okay, a decent example is, and fully being completely honest and open here, this is something I still don't do. When I sign people up and they don't pay the full amount, so for my coaching, when they say I want a payment plan, like I want to pay the money off over the next 3 months, there's a couple of things that I still don't do. One of them is, and I've said in my brain, and I've had so many conversations with Imogen about this, where I've said I want them to pay off within the 3 months. I still don't always stick to that. The second thing that I want everyone to do is I want to charge them 10% extra when they go on a payment plan to cover bases and for the extra hassle and all that. I still don't do that. And so there are so many times I just signed someone up yesterday, and in my brain, he goes, "Can I have a payment plan?" And my brain was supposed to go, "Yes, that will be 10% extra." And I just go like, "Sure." And then afterwards, I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Imogen and I have had this conversation, and every time she really gently afterwards goes, "Honey, did you do the 10% extra?" And I'm like, "I pussied out, honey, I'm sorry." And she goes, "It's okay, sweetie, you'll get it." So I understand. It's not dishonesty. It's like you got to practice your courage. And I'm fully there with you, buddy. Like I'm the first person to say I'm not always completely courageous. I pussy out a lot too. Like that's part of being human. But as long as there's an endeavor to push forward and get better and practice and take those little risks and have that little bit of courage in some of those moments, that's all that fucking matters. We're all on the path to greatness. We're not there yet. Marcus Aurelius wasn't there. None of these people are there. Like, you're never going to get there. It's sort of more about the journey than the destination. Hashtag journey, not destination. Hashtag living my best life. Hashtag summer vibes. Hashtag just guy things. Do we want to
exactly
segue?
What I meant again? Yeah, talk to someone else now.
Yeah, are you sick of talking? Fine. Do we want to segue? Unless anyone has anything to say, and feel free to jump in. If not, let's segue to... Okay, so I want to give people a little bit of advice on how they can build a tribe. We've kind of like skipped over a little bit. We've talked a little bit about how the tribe has helped you guys, but other than coaching, obviously that's the easiest way to fucking build a tribe. Hit me up for coaching. Let's talk about some other ways that people can do that. I think the first thing I will say is Bumble. Like, just go on Bumble, go on the friendship circle, the friendship part, and have a screening template. On my website, go to killyourinaloser.com, search for how to make friends. I have an actual fucking template that you copy paste to everyone. That's pretty hardcore. It's pretty hardcore screening. On top of that, meetup.com is pretty decent as well. And on there, you would just talk to people. Do you guys have any suggestions for other friends? Renee, I know you kind of have made friends, or you've made some friends by just getting in there and doing the work. Like, other guys have seen you hitting on girls, and then they've said, "Hey man, are you hitting on girls?" And you go, "Fuck yeah, let's be buddies." That's a pretty decent way to make friends. I've made a couple of friends like that, but do you guys have any other methods? Renee, feel free to talk about that if you want, of how people can build their own fucking tribe, or maybe what's worked for you guys to help retain this tribe that you guys have. Because you guys have put effort into keeping this alive. This didn't just magically accidentally happen. You guys have put effort into keeping this, to keeping friends and accountability partners.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, it's kind of think about what does the person that you want to be friends with do? Like, how do they spend their time? What places do they go to? And then just, do that. So they will be there. Like, it's kind of simple if you do it strategically.
Mm. I think on top of that, we have to talk about giving value. We have to talk about that. This is something that people gloss over so much. And you guys have no idea how many fucking emails I get from someone just basically asking me for shit for free with nothing, like no value, no reason why I would want to even do that. Not even any hint at what might be in it for me. Just like, "Andy, can you please write me like a 10-paragraph answer to this question for no reason?" And I see that with friends as well sometimes. People will have sort of shallow friendships where they're not giving anything to their friends. Every single friend I have in my life, my brain is like constantly thinking, what can I give this guy? Not every single day, but like, what can I give this guy this week? What can I give this guy when we next hang out? How can I add value to his life? And then I'm also simultaneously thinking, how can I make the most of the opportunity of talking to him? So basically, what value can he give me as well? It's like a give. And I don't think most friendships are based on value. I genuinely don't. I think people are just friends because, like, I don't know, we smoke weed together, or I've just known him for 5 years, or he's cool, or I don't know, we talk about basketball. Even in those kind of like surface level friendships, you can still be giving each other shit. You could be fucking building something. You could be there for each other emotionally, but I don't think people have like value in their head. Is that something you guys have like consciously thought about? Because the reason I'm asking this question is all four of you have given each other so much fucking value. I've watched you in the group coaching program. I have to assume you're doing that outside of that. Was that something you guys consciously chose to do? Or was it more just sort of like self-reinforcing because these guys have helped me so fucking much? Holy shit, I got to give them something back because I'm grateful. Was it a conscious thing?
Partly, yeah. It was definitely like in the group in the beginning. At least for me, I was like super focused on you, the advice that you give and asking like questions that you can answer. But then over time, it was you kind of, the communication between like the coaching clients became more important than like the communication to you in a way, because you kind of I mean, obviously in the beginning you have no fucking idea who the other guys are, so it's kind of you have to build a bit of rapport and see what they're going through to like connect to them. But also like when you see the value that you have given, you can kind of emulate that and know that like what you can tell the other guys that would help them. Because I mean, we all like came there to get coached. So then it was like a no-brainer to coach like each other, to like give more value to that, because that was what we specifically wanted out of this group. So it just made sense to do it to each other.
Yeah, it's like be the cliche, be the change you want to see in the world, basically. And that's just giving value. It's like if I help other people, they will, you're not thinking this consciously, but if I help other people, they'll have to help me. It's like that saying, a tribe is only as strong as its weakest link.
Yeah, especially for like a group like that, because it's just more fun when everyone is bringing in like big successes. So it's just, it's also like, it's just great for everyone if you help each other, because then you all move quickly, you all have bigger successes. It's more fun for everyone involved. Like it's just, it's like a spiral.
I'll tell you the most selfish article I ever wrote, and no one's going to know this is selfish. You guys might get it when I say, you'll get it when I say. There was an article I wrote called "You Should Be Better Than Your Idols." And the whole point of this article was me saying how I want you guys to take what I've done and use it to like leapfrog over the top of me and do better. And I'm sure people reading that will be like, oh, what a nice article. Isn't this nice? It's like, no, I wrote that so fucking selfishly because I want people to jump over the top of me so I feel insecure. So I'm like, holy fuck, my coaching clients are doing better than me. What the fuck is wrong with me? Let me like hurry up and get over the top of them. That was like I literally wrote that with an agenda of, and I even at the end, I used like a guilt trip, not a guilt trip, like, an emotional argument at the end where I'm like, make the most of the information I'm giving you, kick my ass and the asses of all your idols. You'd be letting me down if you don't. I meant that. Like, I would literally feel disappointed if people don't go ahead of me, because then like, well, fuck, you're not giving back. If you kick my ass, then I'm like, oh shit, look at this shit that's possible. That's why I love having guys like you guys, because all four of you, especially you, Pal, and you, Zach, but especially you, Pal, guys that make more money than I do. And there was another guy that joined, I won't use his name because he wanted to be anonymous. There was a guy that was like before all of you, and he was just killing it in business, like 150 grand a month and shit. And I was like, I love this because like this makes me feel like, fuck, if this guy can do it, I can do it. I love that shit. Does anyone want to jump in and talk about the previous topic? How to build a tribe.
Yeah, we're talking about giving value, right?
Giving value, how to build a tribe. Fuck yeah.
So like years ago when I was like 16, I bought some random course on like how to make money with like Kindle or something. It failed because I couldn't figure out how to like set up a business, but whatever. I took this course and it just basically taught you marketing stuff. And the basic thing was just like, give value. So like it's a big part of marketing. And so like, I basically just kind of do it on autopilot. Like if I can put two people together that I think are good, I'll do that. If I can like now I'll often just like, okay, I'll just like pay for stuff because I don't really care. Like if it's just like a small dinner or something or a drink, or I'll like in my work, I have a team that I just teach them all the time, and I try to take really good care of them, and I care about their success a lot. And that's actually, I wanted to touch on this before, is that like you actually really give a fuck about your clients, and like that really shines through in your coaching. And that's what we were talking about before, like having each other's back. Well, that's like you say it multiple times, like in the comments on Facebook, like, I'm saying this because I want you to succeed, and it really, really shines through. And that's one of the big, like, one of the things that you really feel, and you feel extremely supported. And that's just like, there's not much more. And there are not many things that are more valuable than that.
Yeah. And that's how you build a tribe, is just like giving a shit about the members of the tribe. Anyone listening, if we're talking, or you can apply this to like a friendship group that you're in, it's like, just give a shit about your friends. Like, genuinely give a shit. Like, what goals are you working on? I text my mates all the fucking time and I say, hey, how is this goal going? How can I help you right now? Like, one of my friends is building up a social media account. I was like, bro, send me the link to your social media account. I have like 6 accounts on that network. I will use all of them to like and comment on every single thing you've ever done. Probably take me like 3 fucking hours, but I'll just listen to a podcast while I do it. There you go, bro. Like, just be constantly thinking, how can I help you? And then guess what he fucking does in return? Hey, I'm going to shout you out on my Twitter. Thanks, bro. Hey, I'll come on your podcast if you want me to. This is how you build a friendship. This is how you build an elite life. This is how you work on goals. You have people that you push like fucking crazy, and you don't let them fall by the wayside. And then guess what happens? When you're having a bad day, or when you're going through struggles, they don't want you to fail. And when you're having a good day, they want to push you even higher. It's so fundamentally important to build a tribe and to have the backs of all the other members in there. And I appreciate what you said. Yes, I genuinely do give a shit about my coaching clients. And again, a big part of that is because the further I push everyone else, the more I have to push myself. Like, yes, it feels amazing. You have no idea how good it feels. I'm sure you can guess how good it feels to watch people succeed. That is a big part of the reason why I do it. But the bigger reason is because if I can push a lot of people, hey, I can't just fucking sit there. I could have very easily climbed this mountain and said, look at me. I went from depressed to like, I get laid a lot. I'm done. Let me just become a celebrity now and just post all my fucking BDSM pictures and do podcasts and sit there and be a clout chaser and talk about how great I am and how cool my life is. And man, it's so sick. Like a lot of people do. Best example I can give you is like Logan Paul. I don't have anything against Logan Paul, but if you watch his podcast, I've watched quite a few episodes. It's basically just how cool my life is. There is nothing on there about how you could do anything like he's done. And that's entirely fine. He can do whatever the fuck content he wants. I don't expect everybody else to be doing educational content. The world might be a bit boring if we all did that, but man, I could have gone down that path, but like, why? What would I get out of that? Then I will just sit there, and the closer people get to my position, the more I will feel I have to defend it, because I would have built my entire reputation on being at the top of the mountain. I'm not at the top of the mountain, but you know what I mean. And so it's actually easier for me to just let my guard down or open my heart and say, I want you guys to beat me. You're all fully capable of beating me, and then you can slingshot me along with you. We can all push each other together. I see this with so many like pickup artists and so many just so many people, where it's very clear they've climbed their individual mountain and they feel like they just want to sit on the top and defend it. And I hope this doesn't come across as me throwing shade at them. I just decided early on, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to climb the mountain and just say, hey, I'm at the top now. Fuck all of you. It's like, no, come up here with me, because I think it was you, Zach, that said this earlier, and feel free to chime in, buddy. Maybe it was you or Mia. It's fucking lonely at the top. Yeah, it was you or Mia. The higher you get, the lonelier it is. And I went through this like depression phase maybe 3 years ago, like a mini depression, where I was like, I'm actually lonely. I don't have anyone, and all my coaching clients need me, but I have no one to rely on. I didn't have any coaches at that point in time. I since have hired like fucking 5 coaches, but I was lonely. I was like, the only way I can not be lonely is if I bring other people up here with me. And I do get quite a lot of joy out of seeing, especially, you know, like Renee, like when you go crazy and have a threesome in your second week of coaching, I'm like, okay, it's not just me. Like it feels fucking nice. It feels validating. It feels like you're less lonely. So other guys, feel free to jump in. But yeah, I love these discussions, by the way.
Great that me having threesomes is making you feel less lonely. Definitely a good reason for that.
I am less lonely now. Like, I'm not lonely now. I'll make that clear. I hope no one's going like, oh, Andy's lonely. No, but yeah, like shit like that does make me feel like, okay, cool. The more people that can have a threesome. That's why I did the fucking paid how to have a threesome video course. Cause it's like, I want everyone to go out and have a fucking threesome. So it's not this niche thing that Andy's doing. It's like, bro, anyone can have a fucking threesome, which, you know, Renee, you'll be the first person to say, yeah, they can.
Yeah, they can. Absolutely. And another thing that I wanted to add is when you are building your tribe or looking for people to give value and push each other, I'd add the caveat that you need to be kind of selective, because you need a certain like growth orientation with people.
Sure.
Because as like, I think it was Alex Samosi who said, everyone wants you to do well, but not better than them. Yeah. Unless they are like hardcore growth oriented people and are happy to have people in their circle who are doing better than them, because it means I can learn from them. But like most people don't really see it that way. Most people, like, it's what's the saying, like don't tell people about your problems because 80% don't care and 20% are glad you have them. And it's like when you are like, I don't want to like talk about like average normal people in like a degrading way or any stuff like that, but like you have to have a certain kind of growth orientation for this, really like genuinely pushing each other without any like fear of being overshadowed or without any like feelings of inferiority or stuff like that. Like it's really a difference between people that don't want to have people above them and people that are fucking glad that they have people above them that they can learn from. Like it's just this is absolutely required to have people who push each other. Otherwise it just won't work.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's plenty of people that self-sabotage. And by the way, everyone listening, if you find yourself having those feelings of jealousy or like, man, I want to kind of sabotage my friend a little bit, you're not a bad person for having those thoughts. I have them from time. Everyone has them. They're completely normal. Work through them though. Realize that it's not about the other person. It's got nothing to do with the other person succeeding. And a good way to do that is think, how would I feel if I was that person? Well, I'd be really happy. What would I want my friend to say? Well, I'd want them to say, good, I'm happy for you. Okay, how can I give that to them? Because again, if I give that to them, that's a form of giving value. If I give that to them, they will give that to me in return. They'll say, wow, you were really magnanimous and generous and kind when I know you were jealous. You kept it inside and you were nice to me and happy for me. I'm going to fucking give that to you when you crush it. Yeah, it's this. Again, we keep coming back, or I keep bringing it back to this concept of giving value. There's a million different ways of giving value. Another way you could phrase it is what you just said, Renee, growth mindset. That's the same thing. As we're just using different words for the same thing. But having this mindset of I want my friends or the people around me, or even just I want other human beings, I want everyone in the world to like go up a little bit, even if it's just one little step up. Having that mindset and finding people who have that mindset is fucking mandatory for this. Because yes, you're right. You will get talked out of your goals. There's a book that I love called The Slight Edge, which is basically a book on how to achieve goals. And one of the first things he says in the early chapters is stop telling people your goals. Like stop telling your goals to people. Don't tell them, because they'll talk you out of them. Once you have established a strong tribe that have proven to you that they will have your back, my coaching program is an easy way to do that. My forums are a decent way to do that. There are a couple of people on there who are a little negative, but I think we do a pretty good job of screening them out. And as soon as they show their negativity, we get rid of them. But, you know, finding a place where other people are positive and sharing it there, brilliant, great, do that. But if they haven't proven themselves yet, yeah, I'd be very hesitant to say like, hey, I'm working on this. Because most people will say like, why are you doing that? And I have so many stories from so many coaching clients and friends. Probably the best example is one of my mates had wanted to talk to girls for his entire life. He'd only had sex with like 3 girls ever. And it was when I was starting to talk to women. And I said, mate, if you are really serious about this, I will take you out with me. And he was like, mate, that's a dream come true. Like, yes, I want to do this. And I took him out, and the first day he took like 3 hours and he didn't talk to a single, and I was pushing him. And when I say I was pushing him, because he was my friend, I could literally lay hands on him. And so I was literally grabbing him and shoving him at women, almost into them. And he still would just bump into them and then say, oh, I'm sorry, and then walk away. And at some point, he's like, stop fucking touching me. And I was like, I'll stop fucking touching you, cunt, when you talk to a woman. And so we went around for like 3 hours. Finally, something clicked in his brain, and he was like, I'm going to do this. And he did like 5 approaches in the next 10 minutes, like fucking went beast mode. And from that point, I got him to talk to like several hundred girls. Like he got laid a couple of times. Like he went crazy. But he told his brother, after he had approached about 20 women, he goes, oh my God, Andy is teaching me how to talk to women. I've wanted this my whole life. You know, I've been single for the last like 8 fucking years. You know, I've only had sex with 3 chicks. This is life-changing for me. And his brother said, why are you doing that? Weirdos talk to girls. You're just going to get rejected a lot. And it's like, and that was his realization of like, I shouldn't tell, this is my fucking blood, my brother. He's supposed to have my back. And this guy can't even be happy for me when I've just told him I've succeeded at it. I've done it like 20 times. It's not like I'm thinking of starting it. I have done it 20 times. It is making me deeply happy. I express that to him. And because he's in a unhappy relationship where he doesn't particularly, various reasons, he's going to dump that shit on me. So yeah, I like that you added that caveat. Be not careful, but like, you can tell whoever you want your goals. Just don't get upset if they give you weird, if they try and talk you out of it. And I've had that, myself. It's why I don't share a lot of stuff. I share a lot of stuff, but here's what I'll say. I don't listen to the feedback I get on certain things that I share. Even with my own audience, sometimes I will say, hey, I've been thinking of doing this. And some people will say like, oh, that's a stupid idea. That won't work. And so I don't read that shit anymore. If I'm going to share something, I'll share it with my coaching program first, see how the reaction is, because those are the people that have proven to me that I value their opinion. So yeah, it's more about just being careful with who you share this shit with. Zach, Amir, would you guys like to talk about value?
Yeah. Oh,
Amir, go
first.
Okay, I'll go first. I just felt compelled to share my thought when you were saying that, Andy, which is just gold nuggets and light bulbs all the way through. Yeah, but Amir, I shaved this morning, so can't do that. Was like the reasons that quote unquote people talk you out of it oftentimes look different, and oftentimes they come from good intentions. And so I was thinking, there's like, I mean, I'm sure there's more than I was thinking of, but there's like a difference in like just not understanding your motivation. There's of course fear, there's disbelief. And so for example, if it's like, I've been boxing for a long time. And so a lot of people are like, dude, why would you go step in a ring and like voluntarily get punched? It's like, okay, you just don't understand where I'm coming from. That's okay. Then there's fear where it's like, I told my parents I was going to move to South America, and they're like, oh my God, like we've seen Narcos, you can't do that, whatever. It's like, okay, you just don't, like, you're just scared. I'm going to confront that fear. It's okay if you don't get it. And then there's like, the third one of disbelief, where it's like, I was in a business community for a long time and I kind of outgrew the community, which I think is a good sign that the coaching worked. But then it was like, okay, well, I'm going to scale my company to $1 million a year and I'm not stopping until I get there. And people were like, whoa, like, are you sure you can do that? It's like, fuck you. Yes, of course I believe that. You don't. Yeah. I'm not scared. You are. I know my motivation. You don't. Right. And so the way that people sometimes talk you out of things is with good intentions, but it's just coming from a place that they don't quite understand. That's why, like the other guys have said, like sometimes the saying is elevation requires separation. It's like sometimes it just gets lonely at the top because it's like, okay, you don't understand what's in my heart. And so that's okay. We're good, but don't be in my way. That's how I approach it, at least.
Yeah. And it's like, you can still, we're not saying cut off every friend you ever know. It's more, you just don't talk about your goals with them. If they have shown you that they're going to give negative feedback or talk you out of it, just don't share. Just be like, hey bro, we'll just hang out and talk about, and if they say, how's your business going? Or how's your gym going? You go, oh, it's fucking going amazing. My parents are some of the most loving, supportive people that you will ever meet. My mother is so unbelievably supportive. But again, you talked about it came from good intentions. When I first told her, like, a couple of years ago that I was doing weightlifting in the gym. And I remember saying to her, like, oh my God, I've gone from being able to deadlift like basically 30 kilograms to I've just done 160 kilograms. Holy shit, I just lifted 160 kilograms, mother, for fucking 4 reps. How insane is that? And she said, you need to be really careful. Like, what if you hurt yourself? And I remember just going like, oh, mother, like, and I took a deep breath and I was like, I know you're coming from this loving place. And I even said this to her. I said, I really appreciate that you love me and that you care about me. But when I'm getting ready to go for a PB and I'm about to lift that bar, I don't want to be thinking like, I hope I don't hurt myself. That's the opposite of what I want to be thinking. And so I explained all that to her. I said, like, look, I have a coach. He will not let me get injured. He's like a powerlifting fucking champion of Australia. Like he literally was. Everything will be okay. And explaining all that, she's like, okay. But since then, she's asked, how's the gym going? And I don't do powerlifting now. I do bodybuilding. But she says, how's the gym going? And I say, it's going really good. I'm adding muscle. I'm losing weight. It's great. It's so much fun. That's all I need to say. I'm not going to say anything about what she might. And again, that's nothing about her. But sometimes you realize someone isn't going to, they have their own reasons for why they're not going to push you. And so you just gently take a step back and say, hey, I understand those reasons, or maybe I don't understand those reasons. That's okay too. I'll just share a little bit of surface level stuff, and I won't get so invested in what you might have to say in return. And maybe this is a side tangent and I'll make it quick, but it's also about your own expectations. The reason I was disappointed in what my mother said was because I had expectations that she would go, that's amazing, honey. And then when she didn't, I got disappointed. So it's actually not about her at all. It's my own story that I was telling myself and the way I wanted that narrative to play out. It's almost like I was trying to control her. I was trying to say, I want to play God and have you respond to my story in the way that I deem is perfect. And when you don't play along with my script, I'm going to feel butthurt and disappointed and frustrated and sad and all of that kind of stuff. So realizing that is so incredibly empowering. This is basically Stoicism. This is all the shit that Stoics used to talk about. Amir, I know you were fucking obsessed about Stoicism when you were in the group. You posted like a Stoic quote every day. This is the shit the Stoics are talking about. It's like, you can only be disappointed if you tell yourself your own story. And we all tell stories, that's fine. But realizing, shit, I had this story. Okay, the story didn't play out how I wanted, but you know what? My mother gives a shit about me. Or my friend is just trying to look out for me. Or my friend is just jealous and has their own shit going on. That kind of sucks for them. Poor them. Amir, what were you going to say before Zach took over like a rude boy?
I was going to say, just tying into, if you're trying to build a tribe or a community, the most simple thing, and this ties into like caring about people, providing value, all that stuff. The most simple thing is just try. And when it comes to that, I mean, one thing, like we've all been in group chats that slowly died because everyone was waiting for someone else to contribute, right? It's like we all think like, oh, he hasn't messaged me, but you also haven't messaged him.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? You got to actually fuel the fire, right? Mm-hmm. And I remember one time I was at a bar and I met like two entrepreneurs who just randomly all met each other. And then we were talking and we are like, oh, we should like meet up every couple of weeks. And then one of the entrepreneurs' girlfriends got all our numbers. She's like, oh yeah, I'll message you guys tomorrow and set it up. And then she was the one who had all our numbers. Like no one else had anything. We were all drunk, so we didn't think about it. Mm-hmm. And then lo and behold, the next day I never got a text from her. But it just never, you have to be that driving force in any case, right? Like we've had accountability partners where it slowly dies away, for example, as well, stuff like that, right? Just contribute, like push, like fuel the fire, keep it going, right? And then obviously screening comes in as well. But the first step is just try.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Put in the effort. There's a book that I always talk about called Loving What Is by Byron Katie. And she has something called a turnaround. And basically, it's when we tell ourselves a story or when we believe something, try saying the exact 180 polar opposite of that and see how that feels. And so, when you're sitting there and you go, my friend hasn't texted me in like 3 weeks, he doesn't care about me, flip that exact opposite. I haven't texted my friend in 3 weeks, I don't care about him. And if that's true, if there's any truth in that, fix that. Because you can't necessarily fix your friend texting. How are you going to do that? What? Hold a sign up and say, hey, friend, do whatever you can do to flip the situation. So I love that you said that, man. Pal, what were you going to jump in and say?
It was, as you were saying, Amir, basically, taking the steps and making things happen. It's actually something everybody wants you to do. Everyone's just waiting for someone to be like, oh yeah, let's make this happen. And I actually had so many girls say that to me. Like when we're out on a date, I was just like talking. And she's like, yeah, you just suggested this place. We met there. Everything was so easy. I didn't have to do anything. But guys are like that too, honestly. It's like, I think you were just saying this in the group chat that we had before, like on the messenger. You're like, I'll show you guys how to lead or something like that. Here's the time. What about this? And then everyone's like, yes.
Yeah.
That's basically what you were saying, Amir. If she just done that, it's like, I'll take all your numbers, I'll message you tomorrow. Then she'd done that, then you can be like, oh yeah, we show up. And then everything is super easy and everyone wants you to do that. That's also a way of providing value, actually.
Yeah. And you could even flip that and say Amir should have taken her number. as like a backup. And that's not to blame you, but it's more like every situation, what can I do next time better? It's like, there you go, that. Yeah, it's like responsibility. Let's segue, because I wanted to talk about this stuff. I want to talk about some of the stuff you guys did in the actual 12 weeks. So let's go like rapid fire round. And what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you guys questions, and we'll get each of you to answer it individually. It doesn't have to be a massive long answer, but just we'll rapid fire through these. And maybe we'll go in the order that you guys are on my screen. So Pal, Renee, Amir, Zach. And if you forget that order, I'll just tell you. But let's talk about, here's my question. What is the wildest thing that happened to you during those 12 weeks of coaching? Like, start with you, Pal. Yeah, Renee, you're going to have 10,000 stories.
I think like that one day where I talked to that I already mentioned.
Yeah.
With that girl who was sitting with her whole family. Just that whole day was really fun. So I made this random, now it's going to be a little bit long, but I made this random friend in the bar the night before. He was a pretty cool dude, good looking guy, kind of player type. And so we basically went to the beach the next day together. We went to the gym, then we went to the beach. He was like my new friend. Then I just approached these two girls in the water. And then he saw that and he was like, "Whoa, that was fucking cool." Blah, blah. And like, I know it went shit, but whatever. I was just like, that was cool. And I was like, okay, yeah, let's go talk to some girls. Then we did. Just talk to some random girls, and then we played volleyball. And then there were these two like really, really hot girls. And I was like walking towards them, like about to talk to them. And then these two drunk ass British guys just like go up to them like before me, and they just like start like talking shit, and the girls like flee into the water. And I'm like, shit. I told my friend, like, oh, I wanted to talk to them. And he was just like, this German guy, oh, you could still talk to them. Oh. And then he's like, hold my shit. So we had like a bunch of stuff, so I had to stay on the beach. And then he just like, as for it not to get stolen, and then he just like went into the water, waited for those guys to like fuck off after 5 minutes. And then he just went up to the girls. And then like, I looked down on my phone, I looked back up, and then he was like making out with like the hottest one. I was like, what the fuck? And then this other random drunk ass dude went out and he talked to the other girl, and they started making out. He's like grabbing her ass, and I'm like, what the fuck? And they came back and she was like a fucking pro volleyballer or whatever. So like really funny. And then we went back to get some food, and that's when I talked to that girl, and it was just like, yeah, I think that was like the most fun night. I mean, lots of shit happened, but
yeah, it's funny how when you just like give yourself permission to be out in the world, like a bunch of crazy shit happens. We all have like so many of these stories of just like weird shit that happened because you tried. And it's like before that, we all walk around in our own little box, in our own little bubble, never really interacting with other human beings. Or if we do, it's only really brief shit like, hey, how you going? Hey, good morning. When you actually start putting yourself out there, yeah, like life starts happening to you. And you realize, I think this was my biggest realization, every single person has their own story, like their own entire movie going on. They are their own main character in their own movie. And we get to cross paths with all these people if we just let ourselves do it. And every single person could do this constantly, but we just don't, out of fear or it's not even fear. It's like lack of permission. So it sounds like
I think
paths with like 10 people that day.
Yeah, sorry. So that's basically what he did. Like he saw me doing it, and then he was like, fuck it.
Yeah, man.
Right? And then he like made out with like 5 chicks that night or something. And it was just like, oh yeah, I'll just do it. And then I was like, okay, what the fuck? You know? It's just okay. And he was like, yeah, that never happened. Like he's like, that never happened before. Or like, oh, I didn't make out with a girl for like a month or whatever the fuck. It's like then he just, you know.
And from your point of view, let's look at it from your point of view. This is what I meant when I said before to Renee, if you just start doing the work and doing the things you want to do to get you to your goals, this kind of shit happens. I'm talking specifically about you, pal. From your point of view, you're just out there doing shit, doing the stuff you want to be doing, talking to girls, and then random other people are going to see you do that and come in. I made a ton of friends when I was like out there on the streets going crazy with my cold approaches. I made so many friends, people that would just see me doing it and be like, did you just talk to that girl? And I'd be like, yeah, bro, do you want to exchange Facebooks and fucking do this together? You make so many friends from just doing the actual thing that you want to be doing. And you almost like accidentally start bringing them in like a sponge, like osmosis. They just come to you like a magnet.
Yeah, the best example, my current flatmate, literally I met him like that, like 4 years ago for the first time. He was like, oh, did you just talk to that girl? I was like, yeah. Oh, I think we're doing the same thing. And I was like, okay, cool. And then right now we're staying in the same place.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And I can't tell you guys how many friends I've made and people I've, come to really care about by just doing the work, by especially my fucking website. You put your shit out there. I'm not saying everybody has to start a website, but just go start talking to girls. Go start making money. Go start attending events. Go start trying to make some friends. And you'll find that people just gravitate towards you because you're someone worthy of being gravitated towards. Like you're doing shit. So people are going to want to be part of that. Renee, what a story. Pick one, please. Captain like bragger over here. You don't brag, but like you did have a pretty fucking wild 12 weeks.
Yeah, I actually wanted to pick a story that was kind of similar to Paul's, so I'm going to switch now. Sometimes you just have these days where everything works. Like everything just falls into place. Everything you try just succeeds on the first try. And it was one of those days. It was a Friday. I woke up next to a girl, and we had a ton of fun even in the morning. And then it was time for some business. I spoke to, I think, just one potential client, and he was immediately interested, and he was like, yeah, let's do business. And then in the evening, I was out with friends at a bar. Everyone had a great night. It was so much fun. I met tons of new people. And then there was the thing that happened before I took home a girl out of a bar for the first time. I told that story a bit earlier. And that was kind of this crazy day because I had like a great morning, like a great day and a great night. And it all happened just completely almost automatically. Like everything just worked. Sometimes you just have these days where it feels like everything you touch turns into gold. And like everything just falls into place and the world like loves you for a day and just hands you gift after gift after gift. And it's practically what you just talked about, like just putting yourself out there and putting yourself in situations where you can succeed. That's the key to a lot of things.
Yeah, it's just trying, man. It's really just trying. This is a numbers game. See, having a good day is a numbers game. It really is. Like if you just try enough days, you will eventually have some fucking killer days. I do it too. Like most days I will do, if I'm honest, one podcast. I will record one podcast or write one article or do something like that. I just have some days where it's like everything just falls into place and I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to do 10 podcasts today. Like, and that's just a result of every day waking up and just doing a little bit, like just trying. Amir, wildest day. Wildest day.
So for me, it was probably like around 3 or 4 days. A third into the coaching for me, I felt like I didn't have enough time to work on sort of the girl side of things. I had too much business stuff going on. And you told me I should get VAs to help me out.
Yep.
So me and Pau together got VAs like literally 2 days later. And then the next week, while I was sort of busy training them while simultaneously running my business, while simultaneously trying to be a god, do like 50 things at once. I completely lost my shit one day. And you gave just incredible advice. You told me triage, right? Just drop a bunch of stuff. You even told me drop girls, drop your diet, drop whatever, eat whatever the fuck. Just focus on your business and this, right? Just like 2-3 things. And the very next day, it was like night and day. Like the psychological shift it made for me was really profound. Like that piece of advice you gave, where I was literally just trying to do too many things at once. Yeah. And I was trying to do them all very well too, which is the other stupid thing. Like you got to be able to let yourself kind of suck, like you say. You say it better. But that was huge for me, that triage that week. Just hiring the VA, just taking that step, first of all. And then being able to sort of not try to do everything at once helped a lot.
Yeah, yeah. And for anyone listening who doesn't know what a VA is, just a virtual assistant, just someone that helps you, lives in a different country, like does all your errands and shit. Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember that the group coaching is also super helpful because I remember Renee and Zach both very specifically said that when you gave me that advice to help them a lot too.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. We often do that. We fall into this trap of like, especially in the group coaching, like where you paid a lot of money to be there, you're there for 12 weeks. And so there is a feeling of, I have to make the most of this. And I'm completely on board with that, obviously. But I do find I have given this advice. It's one of the mandatory podcasts I make people listen to, but I'm going to do a couple more on it and make all the coaching clients listen to it on how to balance that with relaxing. Because you do need to balance it with relaxing at least once a week, having a day off and just chilling and going, okay, like I have the rest of my life to work on this. Yes, I know that I want to make the most of the 12 weeks, but the 12 weeks is the foundation for me to then go off and kick ass. It's not like 12 weeks of progress and then I'm fucked. Then I got to do it all by myself and it's going to be hard. It's like, no, this is like we're setting up the building blocks and putting everything in place so then I can keep going. And you want it to be something you can keep up for the rest of your life, really. Like it has to be, it's the same thing as the gym or losing weight. It has to be something that you're going to keep up for the rest of your life, like a lifestyle thing. It can't just be like, I'm going to eat 1,000 calories a day and cut all this fat. It's like, bro, you'll quit after fucking 3 weeks. You'll want to kill yourself. Make it something that you can just keep doing for the rest of your life. And yeah, you definitely, I won't give any spoilers because you and I are going to sit down and do a separate interview at some point in the next couple of weeks. But a lot of the stuff we're going to talk about is going to be how you coped with stress and how you managed priorities and how you worked on goals. It's going to be a really interesting podcast, so I'm looking forward to that. Zach attack. Zach is whack. Zach likes McDonald's.
2 out of 3, not bad. Man, I don't know. There's a lot of things bouncing around my head. I think for me, a lot of times the craziest shit is like the simplest. And it's kind of things where you just kind of, I like this. I think this is such a Pisces thing, but you know, it's like sometimes I just find myself in my life. I'm like, whoa, I just woke up in this life that I have, you know?
Yeah.
And like, for me, it's like, you know, I'm very spiritual and stuff. And so, like I was thinking about this the other day, I just kind of woke up into my life in this one afternoon and I was like, yo, like, I just manifested all this shit. And like Andy had it, and all the guys here and all the guys that aren't here had like a ton to do with it. For instance, I was like, you know, I've been living in Colombia for 8 months now. And I was like, oh, you know, I want like a cute little Colombian girlfriend. I literally have one now. And I woke up extra one day. I was like, whoa, I was like, I literally have like the cute Colombian girlfriend that I always wanted. I didn't even realize it. Or like the number one reason I came into the program was because I've been living here for 3 months, you know, didn't speak Spanish when I came, didn't know anybody. I was like so fucking lonely. And like I had this insane house party. Like my apartment's not that much bigger than what you can see. There were like 70 people in here. I walk upstairs into my loft. There are like 7 Colombians in my bed, like in my closet. I'm like, what are you all doing? You know, I just had this like heart swelling moment of gratitude. I was like, holy shit. Like I just manifested all these friends. And like we've gone on to have like amazing times together, days, nights, you know, sexual or not, guys, girls, whatever. You know, almost had a foursome, but I was like too drunk and too tired, so that didn't actually happen. But you know, I was just kind of like had that moment of holy shit, like that's crazy that like this is just the life that I've manifested now, you know. And it all started just by me being like, yeah, here's a few $1,000. Let's see what happens. Let's see where Andy could take me, you know. And then it was like Andy taught me how to take myself there. You know, that's crazy. Like that's mind blowing to me more than any of the crazy days or anything. Like that's what's mind blowing to me.
It's more that you gave yourself permission. That's what, like, you paying me for I say this to people all the time. It's like, if you do coaching with me, like, you will get your goals because you've just put the money down. You're like, well, I have to do it now. Like, I've literally, I have made a commitment that I'm going to do this. I've also given myself permission because this isn't like a pathetic small amount of money. This is like an amount of money that might be life-changing. And so now I have to fucking make the most of it. I love that you talk about manifestation. People, like, completely misunderstand that topic. I actually did. Have I recorded? I can't remember. I can't even remember what fucking content I've done. I either have recorded recently or I'm about to record a video or a podcast on... No, I did record it. On how the law of attraction is bullshit I called it the law of attraction is bullshit. And I said, people hear about like manifestation and the law of attraction and they go, that's hippie, like woo woo shit, that's bullshit. And it's like, no, it's not. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's just called defining your goal. It's literally just called, in my mind, I want this. Or you could phrase it as, it's you giving yourself permission to have that thing. Or it's you deciding it's going to be a priority. Or it's you deciding I'm going to put resources or time or energy or effort or whatever into making that happen. It's like, why wouldn't you get your goal if you do that? Like, it's not even the law of attraction or manifestation. It's like, it's just called, this is my goal now. Like, it's just called goal setting.
Yeah, dude. I mean, just to tie some of the themes we've had in this conversation together, whether you want to call it the law of attraction or something or whatever, like I am hippie woo woo, like unapologetic about it. But
yeah, I know
like,
you are.
Like no matter what you want to call it, I'm like wearing my crystals, whatever you want to call it, it's like, it's kind of have a clear vision of what you want, ask the universe and other people for it, and then take little actions to get there. That's it.
Yeah,
that's
man.
it.
Yeah.
Whether it's getting laid or making money, that's like what the four of us did and what the four of us help each other do. We're just like, hey, what is it that you really want right now? Like, what do you need to do to get there? Have you given yourself permission to do it? All right, start taking action. And boom, here the four of us are on a podcast about how great and crazy our days and our lives can be. That was it.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Let's jump into next question, which is going to be, I think I'll phrase it like this: the day you struggled the most, and then a follow-up question. So each of you answer both questions. The day you struggled the most and how you didn't let that completely overwhelm you. Like how you eventually got back on track, whether that was the same day or a couple days later or a week later, like what you did, maybe what one or two things you did. So Pal, let's start with you.
I might need to look in my notes. I can't remember.
Okay, we'll jump to
I struggled the most.
Who wants to go next?
I have my story ready.
Go.
So I think the Zach, it's gone. I think the
Zach's
day
gone to pee. Zach will be back after he's peed.
Important interruption. So the day I struggled most, or one of the days I got the most important message from you about me making myself struggle was like shortly after I had threesome, when I was like super anxious about like my business goals, my financial goals, my, I don't know, fucking fitness goals. I don't even know like the 30 other things that I try to do at the moment. Like that was when Amir said that I really like stole this advice that you gave him. Like absolutely. I was doing the exact same thing where I was like making myself really stressed out by aiming to do 20 things at once. And when you just said like, dude, like what the fuck, you just like you just did this amazing thing and you can't even pause like for one day and enjoy it. Like you're just like the next fucking day you have to make yourself miserable and say, oh, I'm not a millionaire yet. Like I can't be happy. This is like I don't have permission to be happy yet. I have to be miserable. And it was like this really game-changing day because I was so miserable. Then you wrote this long post about like you don't have to make yourself suffer and you're gonna reach all your goals eventually. And like one of the things you said that really stuck with me was you will have your finances, your fitness, your dating life, like you will have all that handled probably by like 25 or something like that. And it was like at that moment where I realized, holy shit, at my current rate, it's probably fucking true. Like, what the fuck am I stressed about? and yeah, that was definitely like this extreme contrast between being fucking miserable before and then feeling like a fucking, like a huge weight was lifted off my chest when I was like, oh my God, I don't need to make myself suffer. Like I'm just creating this misery for myself and I don't have to do that. That was crazy.
Yeah, man, that was I remember that day. It was literally after you had the threesome and you were like all stressed about money and man, I'm unhappy. I'm so miserable. And I was like, bro, you literally just had a threesome. What the fuck is wrong with you? You literally just had a threesome. Like, yeah, I do remember saying exactly what you said. If you can't be happy the very next day after a threesome, there's something fucked up in your thinking. We got to fix that. And we do this. We tell ourselves these stories of how we're not allowed to be happy right now. We have to put off happiness. We have to get things. If you guys want any advice that counters that, go and read all the Stoics. Just look up top Stoic quotes. Half of the quotes are about how you don't want to put off your happiness. If you can't be happy right now, let me find a great quote. I'll see if I can pull it up. Maybe Amir, we will jump to you. You can tell your story if you want to. And if it's just going to be the story that you already told before, like feel free to just say it was that story again. But I want to find this quote for you guys and I'll read it out after, Amir, you've told your story, because this quote is like fucking amazing. Actually, I tell you what, fuck it. I'm going to read this quote right now. I just found it. So by Seneca, nothing, to my way of thinking, is a better proof of a well-ordered mind than a man's ability to stop just where he is and pass some time in his own company. It's another way of saying, if you can't be happy right now as you are with what you have, like that's a problem with your thinking. Like stop and pause and be grateful for what you have right now in this moment. Even if you're depressed, even if you're not where you want to be, you at least are alive. That's something. So I love that quote. Amir, jump in.
Yeah, so for me, the day I struggled the most was what I just said, where, I was trying to do too many things at once, and you told me triage, and that helped a lot. But also, my struggles didn't end there, and no one struggles. The one thing that's really, I think, important to remember, and we'll talk about this probably a lot in my own podcast, but is that the struggles, I don't want to say this in a negative way, but they don't end in a sense, but the way you react to your struggles can change. Right? And the truth is that we have like an armor, we have a lot of tools at our disposal, right? Stopping and just enjoying the moment, whatever it may be. Going back to the slide edge, just improving a little bit at a time when you feel like you've slipped too much. Triage, like in that one situation, that helped me a lot. Optimism. There's a lot of different ways. Like one time that very day, I was feeling really stressed. And then I just went into the group and I literally just typed out exactly how I felt. Every third word was a cuss word. And I posted that. And then like literally 5, 6, 7, like a bunch of people in the group just came in and commented and gave me awesome advice. I remember the Earthbound Mystic gave me just like really good management advice in that moment as well, just practical advice. So there's actually so many different tools at your disposal. You just gotta, even if you feel it won't work, you just gotta give it a shot. And usually it'll help at least a little bit. And then if you do multiple, right, it'll definitely 100% help, right? Go for a walk, meditate, eat something delicious that's healthy. Like a lot of things can help.
I want to jump back ultra quickly before we go on to Zach, where you said, life will always be, you'll always have struggles. Here's the word I use to make that, because a lot of people will hear that. Even as I hear that, I'm like, oh, that sounds horrible. I don't use the word struggle. I use the word challenges. Because if it's a challenge, we like challenges. Challenges are fun. It's an opportunity for growth. It's an opportunity to kick some ass. It's an opportunity to evolve. And so if you look at it as a challenge, then the next logical step is, well, every challenge or every problem has a solution. I just have to figure out what that is. Oh, fuck, that's easy. So it's like for the rest of my life, all I'm doing is I'm problem solving. Oh, that's easy. Well, man, we love solving problems. It's fucking fun. So that's the way that I switch it around in my head so that you don't have to suffer. It's like, no, I'm just going to do some problem solving for the rest of my life. And then when you have a bad day or a day that you feel like saying is a bad day, you're like, no, I just have a lot of challenges or a lot of problems to solve today. Cool. Yeah, I got a big workload today. That's a lot easier than like, oh my fucking God, I'm suffering today. I'm struggling today. It's like, no, I've just got like extra problems to solve. I'll figure them out. It's fine. A lot of people, Imogen a million times, but a lot of people have told me that I'm very good in a crisis. And I have told each and every one of them, it's because I don't see it as a crisis. I see it as a series of problems that I need to solve. And then my brain just goes, all right, how do I solve them? Step by step, triage, which one is the most important? How do I prioritize? All right, just solve them. But if I tell myself it's a crisis, I'm going to freak the fuck out. I'm not good. I'm not someone that's very confident in an emergency or a crisis. I'm not. I fall apart. I get very nervous. And so the trick I've just had is, okay, I'm going to call that a problem. Like it's a bunch of problems. If I call it a crisis, I will fucking panic. Zach, biggest struggle or the day you struggled and how you sort of worked through it. or didn't let it beat you?
You know, man, I can't think of a specific date, but I can certainly extrapolate experiences that I have from time to time. And I specifically want to call out my brother Amir here, because I know this is something, whether it was spoken or not, Amir, like I looked up to you a lot and how vulnerable you were in sharing these kind of days in your life. And so, yeah, I just want to take the time to appreciate you, brother. But for me, it's like, I know some days I'll just get into like, not just bad decisions, but I mean like the spiral of all spirals. You know, I'm trying to like grow a business. Like I'm a startup founder. It's like things aren't going well with women. It's like 8 calls in a row, not closed. You know, so it's like I get up late, like I missed my workout. I smoked a bunch of weed. I got drunk. I masturbated to like a bunch of like really heinous pornography that I'm like, what am I watching? Like, you know, it's just like, and then I don't go to bed for like 20. It was just didn't leave my apartment. Just the worst, you know, the worst kind of spiral. And I feel like to overcome that, me personally, I think one thing I got from the group was just like, well, Andy, you had that piece of content that was like, you can rewrite the story, you know? And so I do remember one day specifically where like I just spiraled out of control. I was home all day, like nothing got done. I was in bed. I was just like, and then it was like, you know, my gym closed at 10 and it was like 9:15. And I was like, I'm just going to go squat once. And I went in the gym and he's like, dude, you fucking cut, like, or you know that we close. I was like, dude, just let me get a set in. I was like, okay. And then I came home and I was like, dude, let me just pitch one client. I wrote like a drunken pitch to one client. I was like, okay, boom, baby step. They obviously said no because it was a drunken message, but I was like, okay, that's fine. You know, and I feel like that's something that I have a tendency to find myself in negative thought spirals a lot because I'm always in my head. But I also, thanks to Andy and thanks to the other guys and watching all of you and just having practiced this now with the past few months, is now I can, it's not that I avoid the spiral, but I can catch it and be like, you know what? Yeah. Like, okay, like I woke up 6 hours late and like now I'm freaking out because I missed the meeting, whatever. That's okay. I'm just going to have a great day now. Or like, man, I've been having, this happened to me a few days ago. I was like, man, I'm just having a shitty week, like multiple days in a row. Things are not going my way. And I'm like, oh, that's good. They're just going to go my way from now until the end of the week. Problem solved. You know, and so that has been a big mindset shift for me.
Yeah, it's like just because the start of the day or the week or whatever sucks doesn't mean the rest of it has to. And if we just extend the amount of time, that holds true forever. So let's say you're having the world's worst day ever and you just go into a spiral and the entire 24 hours passes. Now you can quite easily say, or I could see how someone would say the whole day is just bad. Like it's literally been 24 hours. The whole day has been bad. And then I would say, okay, what's the next unit of time that we would use to measure? 2 days. Are the 2 days ruined? No. It's the start of the 2 days. Let's say you have the world's worst fucking 6 days in a row. You're just on a bender. You're on drugs. You fucking just everything falls apart. Is the week over? No. So save it in the last possible second. If you have a whole week that's bad, okay, what's the next unit of time? 1 month. Is the whole month bad? No. So rewrite the story and fix the month. If a whole month is bad, if a whole year, it literally doesn't matter. If you have been depressed and you're listening to this and you've been depressed and lonely and miserable and shit for 10 years, you have 20 fucking years. Is the 20 years ruined? No, fix it. If you've been depressed for like 50 fucking years, is your entire life ruined? No. Save the last little bit, like be that underdog story, have that like comeback story that you save it in the last fucking quarter, the last fucking minute, save it. Like it's never over. I had this big LSD trip many years ago and I had this massive realization because I felt like I was getting too old and it was too late for me to change and all of that kind of shit. And I felt like during this LSD trip, I could feel my breathing and I felt like I was a wounded, like almost dead wolf because I felt inside that I'm like almost dead. Like it's too late for me. I'm about to die. I'm dying. And for some reason, I felt like I was like I'd always been a wolf because I've always seen myself as like the lone wolf. Not anymore, but I used to be the lone wolf. And I was like, I'm a wolf. And I was like breathing deeply and I was like, I could feel myself dying. And I was like, but I haven't died yet. I can still breathe. And while I can still breathe, I can still bite whoever's attacking me. I can still fight. I can still run. I can still do something until these fuckers until I take my last breath and these fuckers stab me for the last time, I still have something. Even if that's just mental fight, even if I'm literally paralyzed and I can't move, I still mentally can keep fighting. And it was such a visceral, strong feeling that I was like, holy shit, it's never over until literally the last breath. And even then it's not over because I'll still be thinking something. So it's not over until the last breath and I can't think anymore. And then maybe it's over. Until that moment, there's always something I can do. Even if I'm literally fucking paralyzed, I can do something. And that has stuck with me forever. And that's kind of what helped me write that or do that video of like, you can just rewrite the story. Like, no matter where you're at, if you still have a breath in your body, you can rewrite the story. It's why I don't let anyone make excuses or limiting beliefs or tell me stories about how they're too old or too fat or too this or too short or too Asian or too black or too fucking this or they don't speak English or too Indian or whatever dumb fuck story they tell me. I shouldn't say dumb fuck because I get why the stories happen. We tell ourselves these to keep ourselves safe and comfortable, but there's never a story or an excuse or a limiting belief that will ever hold true. Unless it's literally, hey, Andy, this is the last sentence I'm ever going to type. I'm dead. Oh, bye. Fine. Then fine. Okay. I understand. That's a good excuse. You're dead. You're dead. I understand you can't go talk to girls or make money. But until that moment, no, there's no fucking story. Pal, biggest struggle. How'd you get over it?
Yes. So I had various kind of like, what do you say, like lower moments and spirals. Like where I'd be in a bit of a slump, like either feeling overwhelmed or like I would like have crazy screen time or like a bunch of chicks would flake in a row or something. But overall, like it was a pretty good time, basically. I had one period when I was back home, and my mom was in like a kind of bad place mentally, basically, and I was like, it was affecting me a lot, and I just had no fucking clue how to help her. I felt like I was trying everything, and it was just like that was affecting me quite a lot, and I was actually getting a bit impatient with it, and sort of like, and then you made me a clip, like basically like a little personal podcast. And basically the gist of it was like what was just like relax, and how about just like loving her, you know?
Yeah.
Like just love her. And that just definitely helped me to just like relax, and just like that outside perspective just really helps, like because you're so in it, or I was so in it, that like I couldn't see that like very, very simple truth in a way, right? It's like, okay, like me getting impatient or whatever the fuck, or like it's not helping at all. Even if it's like what she's saying is somehow bullshit, then, well, if I want to help her, which is actually what I want to do, then the actions I were taking were not very effective.
Yeah. I got that from a book that I love, a book called Letting Go by David Hawken. And he's a psychologist, and he had a client that he tried to help for so fucking long, and she just was really stubborn, and she just wasn't. And he said at some point, he said, I'm going to stop trying to fix her, and I'm just going to love her. And from that moment on, the client, like the not coaching, the what would you call it? The fucking treatment. It just went in a completely different direction, because no longer was she trying to resist him fixing her. He was just like, all right, I accept you as you are. I'm just going to try loving you as you are. And like, she didn't change everything. Like, it's not some magical story where she just became a completely fixed person, but she opened up and found her own happiness, because, okay, this psychologist isn't constantly trying to fix me. I have nothing to defend and to fight against. And okay, maybe I'm okay as I am. And she found a lot more peace than she had. And I have done that with a lot of my own coaching clients. Maybe some of you could guess a couple of those examples, but there's been coaching clients who just fight me and resist because they're just not ready to change yet, or they have a lot of limiting beliefs that they haven't quite been able to get over yet. And I fight them for a little bit, or I push them, and I do all the coaching stuff that you can possibly do. And then at some point, and I've even said this directly to a couple of people, you guys might not know one in particular. I think it's since you guys left, but he fought me a lot, and he had his own limiting beliefs. And I literally said to him, I'm not going to change you. I'm not going to focus on changing you right now. I'm literally just going to focus on caring about you. I literally just said that. And I said, I'm going to be here for you. I'm not going to change you on this. You'll change this when you're ready. We've told you 100 times why you need to change this. Everyone in the group has jumped on you and said you're being silly and all of that. I'm not going to keep doing that. I'm here for you, but I'm not going to keep. And then fucking 3 days later, he goes like, okay, I'm going to do this thing now. That is so fucking effective. Just either saying to the person or just embodying it. Right, I'm not going to keep changing you, because sometimes people get so defensive and caught up and stressed and anxious and tight and like, stop trying to change me. And if you just drop that and say, all right, I'll just care about you then they're like, oh, okay, well, I'm ready to change now. And you're like, yeah, you are. Good job. All right, let's do two last real quick questions, because we are getting at the 2 hour mark and I don't want to keep you guys here forever. So let's blast through this super quick. I'll go through each one of you and just say like maybe 2 sentences for this. What's the one biggest lesson that each of you got from the 12 weeks and will keep like for the rest of your life? So maybe we'll start with Renee. Just one thing.
I don't have to suffer. I can be relaxed while I'm working on my goals, even if I haven't reached them yet. I don't have to make myself stressed because I haven't reached X and Y yet. I have time.
Brilliant. Who wants to go next?
Yeah, I can go. So I think one of the biggest things is just realizing that everything is a numbers game. And that's just like such a freeing realization in every aspect of life.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it is. Literally applies to everything. Amir, Zach, the twins.
Yeah, I guess one of the number one things is just never quit. Don't quit. No matter how long it takes, as long as you're on the path, you'll get there. And also the abundance thing, like Pao said, I remember like the first couple of dates I went on when I started it, I totally overanalyzed everything. I made like this massive post, and your only response was, "You're thinking too much. Just go talk to more girls. Go." And that for me was a huge mindset shift. And I think really when it comes to girls, that's like all I needed to hear. That you just got to keep going, talk to more girls.
Yeah. That's. I have to make myself do that, by the way, because you know that I want to just talk for like 10 hours. So I have to literally make a conscious effort and go like, just write one sentence to him, tell him the one thing he needs to hear. Don't address all the rest of it. Zach attack.
The one thing that came to my mind immediately was that the reason there are a lot of examples of this during the group, is that the reason that people do things is more often a reflection of something that's going on with them than with you. And so there's no reason not to just be yourself.
For sure, man. Yeah. Everyone's got their own internal stories and beliefs and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, we tend to take things very personally. It's very easy to, until you realize like, oh shit, they have their own story, their own shit going on, their own narratives. Like, it's probably not about me. It's probably not something I did. For me, I'll say mine. The biggest thing that I've ever gotten from any coach ever, I've gotten so much out of my coaches, but probably the biggest thing is you've got to love yourself instead of being a cunt to yourself, because you'll get like 10 trillion times more done. You'll be more efficient if you're just nice to yourself versus yelling at yourself every day. I used to have the worst negative self-talk of all time. I was so brutal to myself, and just switching that to, you don't even have to be amazingly loving, although I am at this point. I'm ridiculously nice to me, and you'll get to that point. Zach, you and I sat down and did a podcast about mirror therapy, like looking into your own eyes in the mirror and saying, I love you, like every day. But even just getting to a point where you're just okay, you're just neutral to yourself, that is such a massive step up from like being horrible to yourself. And I think we as guys tend to think, if I can be brutal to myself, I will get more done. It's like, you get like 50 million times less done when you're a dick to yourself. Think about someone else abusing you and cracking the whip. Do you want to work for them? No. You will resentfully do the bare minimum possible so that they stop yelling at you. You're certainly not going to go above and beyond. A really good way of thinking about this is, what would you do for your enemy? Fuck all. You probably sabotage them. What would you do for someone you love? You take a bullet for them. So what if you can get yourself to a point where you love yourself? Holy shit. You will literally do 10 times more because you're doing it out of love. Rather than like, oh, I resent myself, I'm a piece of shit. Maybe I'll go to the gym today. It's like, no, I want to, because I love myself, and that's what people do for those they love. If you guys could go back to the start of your coaching and do it all again, is there one thing that you would tell yourself or that you would do differently? This is another way of saying, like, are you guys, maybe I'll phrase it like this. How do you guys think you did as coaching clients in the 12 weeks? Like, rate your use of the time, rate your performance out of 10. Weird question, but fuck it. Renee.
I can go first. The one thing that I would do differently is I would, like from the start on, realize that I have one goal that I want to focus on, which was like my dating life and like dropping all the other shit. And I mean, I kind of needed to try to do 20 things at once to learn the lesson that that's a dumb idea. But like, that's like the one thing that if I had done that differently from the beginning, I would have like achieved even more. That's like the only thing that I would change. Or, I mean, I wouldn't change it, but like, you get what I mean.
Yeah. It's like a learning lesson, sure. Who wants to go next?
Yeah, I can go. I think I did pretty well. I'd say like
You all did.
7 out of 10. I think I had some weeks where I kind of like didn't do enough. So that's like when I was back home, I feel like, okay, I could have done a lot more, or I could have pushed through some barriers that I didn't end up doing. So yeah, that's it.
I'll give you more than a 7. I'll give you an 8.5. Amir.
I think I got a lot out of the coaching. If one thing I could do different, I know for the first half of the coaching, I was way more involved, and then kind of often when I get super stressed, I can retreat socially.
Sure. Yeah.
And I feel like a little bit towards the end, I had so much stress, I started to retreat a bit. And that's one thing I regret. I think anyone who does the coaching, 100%, just be as vulnerable as you can, post as much as you can, respond to other people's posts as much as you can. Because when I was doing that, my progress was definitely more accelerated. And even there was a time early on when I would get stressed, I would become vulnerable about it right away in the group. And that helped a fuck ton. Whereas later on, I think I just had like more shame and stress, and I retreated a bit. And that's something I definitely regret. I think I could have gotten more out of it if I pushed more. Yeah.
You make it clear, like Zach said it before, you were pretty fucking vulnerable, man. I think you got to give yourself a little bit of a, like, I think you got to cut yourself a little bit of slack there, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't feel at any point you were withdrawing at any point, really.
Yeah. But I feel like I wasn't posting as much towards the end. And I could have done that more. There's one thing I could have changed.
Sure. And I get that this question is intentionally saying, hey, can we talk about regrets, which is not something that I ever really get people to focus on. So it is a weird question, but it is a useful question to anyone else who's going to do coaching or even just work on their goals. So it's a weird sort of question, but because I'm basically asking you to pick, like, how could you have been perfect? And it's like, that kind of argues with what we talk about all the time about don't be perfect. So, yeah. Who wants to go next? Who haven't we done? Zach. Zach's always last because he's the gentleman.
Hey, leave the best for last. I don't know. That's an interesting question, man. I think the thing that came to my mind was Mark Cuban has this quote that however long it takes you to make $1 million, half of that time was getting yourself to believe that you could.
Yes.
And I feel like it's the exact same way in anything with coaching, whether getting laid or making money, any of the goals we're working on. It's like half the time that it took to complete that was just like believing that we could. And so I think right away I would be like, dude, let's just clear my mind, like get a blank slate of these limiting beliefs. Let me talk to these guys. Let me look for evidence of why I can do this. Like, let me get that belief straight first. And then all I got to do is go out and execute. But for me, it took a long time for me to feel like, oh yeah, I could do the things that Andy says I can do. And then once I realized it, it was like, oh fuck, I did it,
Yeah, I've told this story a million times. It's like how I couldn't pay the bills from coaching for like 2 years. And then I eventually just had this like complete and utter fucking breakdown where I remember exactly the street I was walking on, exactly what I was wearing, everything. And I'm walking along with Imi and I just go, I'm done. I'm fucking done. I am fucking done with not being able to pay the bills. I'm fucking done. I'm fucking done with not sleeping. I am fucking done with feeling like I'm going to be homeless. I'm done. I'm fucking done, baby. I'm done. And she was like, I know, baby. And I was like, no, listen to me. I'm done. That's it. I'm done. I'm done. Like, I'm done. And then 2 months later, bam, can pay the bills. Because like you almost, it's almost like you have to give yourself permission, or you have to, you say belief. I would, like, belief is a great way of explaining it. You could also explain it as like you have to drop the ego and drop the stories that you tell yourself. And I wanted to hold on to this story of like, I can't pay the bills. It's hard. It's struggling. I'm not good enough. Like, it takes a lot of time to do this. And it's like, as soon as you drop that bullshit, guys do the same shit with like girls and everything. I can't talk to girls. It's scary. It's hard. I'm not good looking enough. My pictures aren't good enough. I'm not social enough. I have too much weight to lose. As soon as you just let that go and go, what if I just try? Bam, results immediately. So it's letting go of the stories. It's believing it. It's giving yourself permission. You don't even have to believe that it will happen. You just have to believe that it might, maybe, possibly, maybe be possible. Like just a little sliver of like maybe a little bit of hope. That's all you really need, like 1% hope. If someone is on the fence about like doing what you guys did, coaching, signing up, what would you guys say to them? They want to jump, but they're scared.
Don't do it. Fucking sucks.
Don't do it. It's the worst decision.
It's a waste of money. It's horrible.
Waste of money, waste of time. You have to talk to Andy every day. It's fucking just depressing. He tells you bad jokes.
And he just wants you to do his job and coach the other dudes in a Facebook group, and then secretly he's just sneaking out. That
actually does help. Like, because you guys help each other. Like, everyone in the group helps each other a lot. That really does like help you with the coaching, because there's less for me to say it. Half the time it's like, hey, they said it.
No, I say if you can afford it, fucking do it. It's great. You will get a lot out of it even after the coaching ends. Like, we're still all talking together, basically. We'll continue to work on our goals together and basically have each other's backs. And I think that's one of the, like, that's still the biggest thing I got from this whole thing, was just the community, basically. If you can call it that. Yeah.
Honestly, I would go even further. Like, not only if you can afford it, but if you can't afford it, find a way to. Because if you not sooner or later find a way to invest 5K in yourself, like, what the fuck are you doing anyways? Like, if you are serious about self-improvement, like, it's just more leverage if you have money to spend on yourself on things like coaching. So if you can't afford it, find a way to do that.
I have that thought sometimes, man, when someone like does say, I can't afford coaching. I'm like, for fuck's sakes, like, I could get you your goals now in 3 months instead of like the next 4 years you're going to take. Like, you're putting the priority of saving $5,000 instead of like the next 4 years. You're literally trading time for money, and you're saying $5,000 is more important to me than the next, like, however many years it takes me to do this fucking thing. It's really, I try not to get frustrated by it, because like, I understand I'm not entitled to people's money just because I would like to help them. Like, fuck me. It's got nothing to do with it. But it can be frustrating times when you have someone who really wants to sign up, and you're like, just fucking do it. Like, please just let me help you. And they're like, I just don't know. I'm not ready, or I don't have the money, or let me do it after Christmas when I have more money, or let me do it when I've handled my weight loss. And you're like, man, I want to help you, but you're not letting me. So it's one of the things I still sort of struggle with, honestly, is like letting that go. I think I'll get better at letting that go over time, but it is frustrating. And I'll give you guys a shout to the courage that it takes to put the money down and take a chance. Like, it definitely does, because you all had insecurities. You're all like, but what if it doesn't work for me? What if I'm the exception? I have no proof that Andy can help everyone. He says he can, but I wouldn't know if there's people that he just doesn't help, and he's not going to do a podcast with them about how they didn't help them. So I just have to trust him on blind faith. And I respect the shit out of you guys, and I'm glad you did it, obviously. But I do want to shout out that I am grateful, and I do respect everyone who signs up. And I also want to make it clear that I'm not sitting there judging everyone who doesn't. I hope that comes across. I'm not sitting thinking like, oh, you should give me your money. Like, it's your fucking money. You can do what you want with it.
Eddie, I mean, if I can give away one of your secrets, something you always say is that we run toward our fear. And so if someone is like on the fence because they're scared, something I read recently that really stuck with me is, if you can't get rid of fear, just do it scared.
Dude, yeah. Yeah. And so many people like come into this shit and they're like, like, can you please help me become confident so that I can talk to girls? And it's like, bro, I'm sorry, you just have to talk to girls when you're not confident. Like, you're putting the cart before the horse. Or they'll say, like, you know, I'm really scared to give up, I don't know, my porn addiction or my weed addiction. It's like, I'm sorry, dude. Like you said, you have to give it up scared. Like, I'm sorry. Like, the rest of us had to. The rest of us had to jump in the fucking pool. Renee, you said this really long quote to someone. You're like, you're standing there on the edge of the pool. We've all jumped into it and we're all fucking scared to jump. You're standing there on the edge of the pool saying, hey guys, can you please help me not be scared to jump in the pool? And it's like, I'm sorry, fucker. You have to just jump. We all did it. Look, we're all okay. And maybe you will fucking die when you jump. We don't know. You might be the one person that dies. Fucking take a chance. We might have been the one person that died from jumping, but we still did it.
And the other thing is that even though it costs $5,000, if you're going to look at it from like a return on investment sort of perspective, you've helped us make more money with your advice, and for the long term as well. But it's also not just that. It's like, if you're on the fence, then if you don't do it, you're kind of deciding that you don't want to be in that club with the people who are kind of making it, right? You're choosing the community of other people who are also on the fence. You just sit on the fence. But also, man, like, dude, a semester of university costs more than $5,000, and you don't get like a dope ass prof who will like help you, you know, run a business, meet girls, get like mentally, you know, sound, and will literally send you like an essay when you post a comment every single day. Like, the value is incredible. And just like we're all saying, like, we're all here together, still pushing each other. And that's not going to end. So in a sense, it even after the 3 months, I feel like for me, it hasn't really ended. It's still going for me. I feel like the coaching. So definitely a amazing return on investment. I'd recommend 10 out of 10.
What you said before.
If all $5,000 did was instill the belief in you that you could achieve any goal that you ever put your mind to, like, isn't that worth $5,000?
100%.
And that's the mission, dude. That's the mission. Zach, you pointed this out so many times. You even said it on our interview together, because you're pretty astute about this shit. You said, like, Andy, your mission is to get us to not need you. It's like, yeah, fuck yeah. Like, that should be the mission of any coach. It's like, bro, you can do this, basically. I won't go off on a big tangent, but all the good coaches that I've ever had basically said, like, what are you doing? You can just hurry up and do the thing. And I'm like, oh, thank you for permission to do the thing. And then I do the thing. And I'm like, man, thank you. You fucking just changed my life. And it's like, all they did was say, just do the thing. Do the thing you already want to do. Just do it. And Amir, something you said a second ago there, where you said, when you're not choosing to do coaching, you're choosing the group of people who sit on the fence. That's the thing that kind of, like, if you frame it like that I am hit with like this slight tinge of sadness, because it's like, you four, feel free to jump in, but you four, I'm sure, would say, like, none of us are special. It's not like we're in a cool people's club. And I think too many people sit there and go, like, and even if, take a step back from the coaching for a second, even just this fucking community, even just like going out there and talking to girls instead of just watching these videos on YouTube, even just actually taking action. I think that a lot of people sit on the fence and go, that's a cool people's club. Those are the cool people. I can't be part of that club. Like, that's not for me. I'm not one of those people. And it's like, yes, you are. Literally the only difference between the people in that club and you is that they said, hey, can I join your club? That's it. That's a fucking difference. Hey, can I join your club? It's not, I'm worthy of being in the club. I'm not. You four were not. I'll phrase this in a nice way. I'm sure you four would say we're not worthy of being in the club. If I go back and ask you at the start, you'd say, like, I don't know if, like, hopefully I can be in the club. When I first joined the club, I was like, I don't deserve to be here. I hope I don't get found out. That was my biggest fucking fear. I thought the forum that I was on was going to kick me off when they found out that I was a loser. And so I was like terrified. I was like, I don't deserve to be here. Holy fuck, I hope they don't find out. I still fucking tried. I still just joined the club. So I would hope, whether it's coaching or whether it's just taking some fucking action, I would hope every single person listening to this goes, fuck it. Like, if these retards can be in this club, and if this fuckhead, bald fuckhead can be the head of this shit club, like, why the hell can't I be in this goddamn club? Like, none of these people are special. And you guys are not. I'm not fucking special. None of us are special. Like, why the fuck would we be special? If we were special, it would be fucking Dan Bilzerian, and even he's not fucking special. He's just worked. But You know what I mean? We'd be fucking on the moon or something. We'd be doing something cool. Have God powers. We're just fucking human beings that decided, hey, fuck it. Can I join your club? Sure. Being part of my club. Just give like a quick answer for each of these. Maybe pick your top 2, maybe your top 3 goals for the future. Like, what are you guys working on? It can be long-term goals. It can be short-term goals. Basically, what do you guys want next? Pow.
Basically, it's just like the kind of big categories. I want to make more money, be healthier, and have better relationships, like just social life. Just, no, it's not that concrete, but those are like the most important areas in my life, like sports and health, relationships, all kinds, and then like business wealth. I think that it gives a lot of freedom. So I think that I just want to improve everything. I feel like it's already in a place where I can kind of relax and I can feel good. Like, even if it's kind of stayed like this forever, I'd be good. But I just obviously want to improve it.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And that's a really beautiful place to be in, where you're like pretty happy with your life and you're like, everything after here is like a bonus. It feels like you've finished the video game and now you just get to do all the bonus content for the rest of your life. Like, you get to just fuck around and do whatever you want. That's like a cool position to be in. Yeah,
kind of. It's just, there are still lots of challenges, obviously. So it's just, going through those.
Yeah. So sort of in terms of concrete goals, I have a business, and that's my number one thing right now is I want to get it to a place. I don't need to say exactly how much revenue, but I have a goal for how much revenue I want to make per month. Another kind of general thing, I want to build the skill of habit sort of making and breaking, of being able to develop habits and break old bad ones that might resurface, and sort of get really good at that as a skill. I think that might be like the best skill I could ever get. And like, I know for one thing, I want to be a polyglot. I'm already sort of, but there's a few other languages I want to learn: Spanish, Arabic. I want to improve my French. But yeah, that's where I see myself going.
Bro, that would be so sick. I went on this binge like a year or so ago of watching all the polyglot. For anyone else listening, a polyglot is like someone who speaks multiple languages. I went on a binge of watching so many fucking YouTube channels. There's the guy from New York who speaks Chinese. His name's like Xiao, something like that, Xiaoman. I watched all him. There's this other guy, I can't even remember his nationality, that does like interviews with people and he goes, if I can speak your language, or if I can't speak your language, I'll give you like a free fucking pizza. I love that shit, man. That shit's like dope to me.
Yeah, I love it, man. There's a guy who learned Japanese with a perfect accent just by watching animes in his room for like 3 years. That's all he did.
Yeah. I love that shit.
Cool.
Zach, what do you want, Zach? What are your goals? What are your plans? What's your mission?
Oh, those are different big questions. I'd say top 2 goals right now. One is that my business is going to cross $1 million and hopefully we'll have an exit. And then number 2 is I'm actually leaving Colombia and I'm moving to Mexico in a few weeks. And I would be stoked if I could just do this all over again in Mexico. Yeah, been fantastic.
Fuck yeah. Renee.
One of maybe my biggest goal is to really focus on my like mental state, my internal processes, and do a bunch of journaling, meditation, and also a lot of psychedelics, and like basically anything to make your own mind a happier place, because you're spending your entire life there. Like, you might as well make it a nice place to be in, because otherwise achieving anything other than that, reaching any other goals, is pretty much pointless. If your mind is a shitty place to be in, then you will have a shitty life. So maxing there is like, I think, one of the biggest leverages in life quality you can possibly have, like one of the biggest returns in life quality in any activity. And apart from that, definitely more freedom, like building a second business and then having it location independent and time independent. So I'm having an income that gives me a comfortable lifestyle without me having to invest much time and energy in it. So I can just do whatever the fuck I want. And definitely also goal number 3 is build a big fucking network all around the world with very cool people, which, I mean, this is kind of the topic that everything was was about here, building a tribe and stuff like that. And yeah, that's definitely something that I want in my life.
Hell yeah, man. I love that you talk about finding inner peace and getting like your mental game right. That's something that I've been working on pretty hardcore for the last like year. It's been a pretty big priority of mine, and that shit helps so much. All the books that I talk about, like Loving What Is by Byron Katie, Letting Go, You Can't Afford the Luxury of a Negative Thought. I could go on, but even anything Stoic related, all the Stoic quotes. Yeah, that shit is, it's like the quote I read out before, being able to stop and just pause and be by yourself for a couple of minutes and just be completely okay. That's so utterly mandatory. And I get that for a lot of people, they're hardcore focused on like girls and then money and all this kind of stuff. But along the way, you do want to spend a bit of time working on the mental shit as well. Like a lot of what I talk about is that kind of stuff. And it's definitely some content I'm going to focus on a lot more in the future.
Yeah, I wanted to add one thing actually. So one thing I just started working on, which is kind of an extension of what you guys just said about happiness, is actually just like unfucking my dopamine addiction.
You and me too, brother. Yep.
Yeah. So I just started working on that. I'm actually posting like my screen time and my bedtime like every single day on the forums right now. And like the amount of pickups I do on my phone every day, just to like try and reduce it and what that actually does. So I struggle a little bit with motivation also because I feel like I have a lot of the things I want already. And basically what I learned about dopamine is that it fucks with your motivation so much. It's like, well, why the fuck would I be motivated to go for a walk or sit down and write something when like I can just get all the fucking spikes and dopamine hits by just like doing this on the phone for like 5 minutes, and it's way more stimulating than anything else. So then by like resetting that, then you will be stimulated enough by that to like be able to focus. So yeah, wanted to throw that in there.
I think you said you're already doing this, but I recently, as in like only like a month or two ago, I put my phone in grayscale mode. I think you're doing that as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a fucking game changer. It's weird for the first 3 days, and then I can't go back. Every now and then I will turn it back to color if I need to look at a photo or something important. And I'll just go like, oh, this phone is gross. Like, it's just too much. It feels like you're being bombarded by fucking color. And it really does just feel like it obviously is designed to stimulate you as much as possible and keep your attention and all of that. So that's a quick shortcut. Either limit your screen time or put your phone in grayscale mode. I'm going to do a podcast on this about how to do it, but just Google it. You can do it on Android. You can do it on Apple. It's pretty easy, but that's a fucking game changer. So I love that that's your mission, man. That's my mission at the moment too, is to limit. I've blocked a bunch of websites on my phone. There's apps like Block Site is one of them. Stay Focused is another one where you can block apps and websites and all that kind of stuff. I have to block like Facebook and all that shit because I will just check it out on my phone. And so I only let myself look at it on the computer when I'm sitting down to do some actual fucking work. Do you guys want to shout? Yeah, if you had more to say, jump in.
Yeah, I want to say if you're on an iPhone, what you need to do is you have to turn on like parenting control. So that will basically like block like adult content. Also your website, by the way, you have to like give yourself permission to go on that on your website.
No shit, because mine isn't blocked on a lot of other porn blockers. I'm not blocked on NetNanny or any of those.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I had to do it anyway. And then what you want to do is you can add individual websites in there that will just be blocked. So yeah,
exactly. Do you guys want to shout anything out, anyone out? Do you want to shout out like where people can find you if you would like to use this for fucking spam and clout?
Bro, let me say, Andy, you said earlier, you don't want to say this is the cool kids club, but y'all, when I'm with the 3 and the 4 of you, I feel like I'm in the cool kids club. So shout out to all of you.
Oh.
Shout out to Zach. Zach's the shit.
You just all shout each other out. I'm going to shout out Renee for being German.
Shout out to Tao.
Shout out to Pal.
Shout out to Andy. Thanks. Andy's got a great website. It's called Kill Your Inner Loser.
It's pretty decent. Yeah, it's all right. Gets the job done.
Podcast.
YouTube channel.
Podcast is awful. Hey, you don't listen to the podcast. You're talking about the YouTube channel. but you didn't know I have a separate podcast. And by the way, guys, shout outs to me. I have a separate podcast on top of this. It's on Spotify. I bet you all didn't fucking know that. Oh, it's different content on there. Oh, sneaky. How's he get on there? I love the fucking podcast because it's where I sit down and I can be more like chill and shit. The video, like as chill as this was, it's like you got to look into a camera and shit. The podcast, you can just literally be naked, sitting there like jerking off, talking about like, yeah, today I went to the gym. Oh, that's great. All right, guys. Well, we will wrap up there with that horrible mental image. I should just cut the video off right fucking there. Oh, that's great. But I do appreciate you guys coming on. Dudes.
There are some.
Don't ever interrupt me again.